So, what are we doing, Thorin?
Watching Breaking Point.
Watching
the
Breaking
greatest esports documentary of all time.
In many ways, it is quite good, though.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I bad credit to teamliquid for actually
That's the
being willing
coolest
to
premise
put
of
this
any documentary anyone's made. Because normally you just try to sell the good, don't you? And obviously people make almost an artificial story where it's like, this is just laying bare all the terrible things that happen in teams. Because I always tell people, it's not as bad as this, but most teams have some level of drama and things they have to go through and stuff. So it's just fans don't get to see it because normally you cover it all up, you know.
I mean, to be fair, normally it isn't this bad
Sure.
either. Although we could probably tell you some anecdotes about it being super bad in other teams as well. Maybe not specifically which teams, but we can tell you generally about what happens. So
I have one detail though.
Oh yeah?
Right, you know how it's actually a trick that like a lot of movie directors use where they'll show you something in a story and then they introduce one detail that was like something about the character of the person that was talking, or some detail they didn't tell you from earlier in the story, and the whole mechanism is it changes how you see the whole story at that point in time. So what I'm going to say is this: when you're watching this documentary now, bear in mind, right, that a few years ago when Loco became the coach of TSM, he had a big feud with us, and in fact this show, Summoning Insight, he was really rude to us, did a lot of fucked up shit, quite frankly. And this is the craziest part. Even though there was some other stuff, one of the main things that really ticked him off was that when Monte heard that he was going to become a coach, Monte had the temerity, look that up, Loco, to actually suggest that someone as young as Loco and inexperienced as Loco, and he was just a kid who played video games, maybe wasn't actually that appropriate an authority figure who could, you know, be a leader of young men. So all I'm going to say is keep that in mind, that Loco didn't agree with that, as you watch this documentary.
And to be fair,
you be the judge. I'm not going to be
I didn't question his game knowledge or say like he shouldn't be in a position with the team.
Okay.
I just said maybe head coach, it might take a few more years for him to get to that point of authority. That's it. It was very mild. It was very mild.
No, he could have been a great teaching assistant. You know, when in like a university, the guy gives the speech, then he goes like, right, now Bill's going to hand out the papers and collect them back. He could have done that part. He could have killed it there.
Okay, so I think we should probably just start watching this right now. And yes,
there's a lot in this as well.
There's so much. So we'll have Maddie pause it sometimes.
And by the way, this is going to be really meta because it actually starts and is set up with me as the talking head framing most of it anyway. So I'm going to be watching myself explain the story to myself and then comment on that. So the entire thing is going to be ridiculous, I can already tell. But some of the scenes I can already remember in my brain are so good. I hope they're as good as I remember that today.
All right, Maddie, let's start this up.
Oh, by the way, I will say as well, while it's loading up, the actual production quality on this and the music and stuff, I think those one-up guys did a really good job. I think that's what you
really want the theory. Instead of blaming picks, let's talk about what we can fix. And even if you do think picks are problematic, you can say it in a much more productive way.
I say fucking picks.
He's literally 1 minute in. He's 1 minute in. Loco's like that, like, you know, summer camp counselor, like, guys, you don't need to fight with each other. Why don't you just tell him that you're really frustrated with what's happening? And then he can tell you, like, yeah, no, I don't like the way you squat my hand. And then he's just like, fucking picks. Immediately just even listen to anything he's saying. So good, isn't it?
How I fucking say 5 men?
I think saying something simple like, yo guys, I want to get 5 men.
I know, it's the difference in tone.
Loco's doing his best to defuse the situation.
Liquid just sort of playing like it's counter solo queue, saying, hey.
We practice really hard before horse play, but in LCS stage I just feel like everyone just wanna lose and go home fast.
Also, by the way, just have a look how many of these players are still starters in the LCS. It's about, I think it's only dardoch. Like Phoenix is in academy. I can't even think of any of the others who still like this was actually the breaking point for everyone. That doesn't matter.
Camille from Cloud9 pointed out, pause it, Maddie. Go back. Camille from Cloud9 pointed out that this is like pre-BoJack Horseman.
BoJack Horseman. Yeah, you're right. That is quite similar.
teamliquid invented BoJack Horseman for sure. All right, we can go. Can we turn down the music a little bit in the mix, Maddie? compared to us.
By the way, just because I'm in that phase of my career where I don't give a fucking loss, I'm going to say this just from Monty's amusement. Right? The only person in Esports I've ever actually had a conversation with about BoJack Horseman was Travis Scafford, who it's one of his favourite shows, right? But then, even though I was like, yeah, it's not a bad show, he then tried to like spin it as though he understood it in some like advanced way that I didn't. I was like, get me out of this.
That's like that Rick and Morty meme. That's like a Rick and Morty
He was like that years before though, yeah, so he like got it on some level. I didn't like, give me a break, man, whatever.
It takes a very advanced intellect to understand Rick and Morty.
Dardoch definitely the best character in this movie, as it were though. He's so sick in me.
I like the credits that they have as well.
I already can't wait as well for the scene where Dardoch's just wrecking Steve Arneset. It's so ridiculous. Like the idea that you could do that to like the guy who owns the whole team you're on, it's mental. Just wait and see, it's so nuts.
What I love about these credits is it's just like everybody who works at Team Liquid, they're like, which executive producer? Yeah, Mike Milanoff, that makes sense.
As though he did anything. All he did is just look fly and then go, yes, well done. You didn't do it. You didn't produce any of this shit. What?
So they went there, and I had Loco spearhead the initiative and put together where the boot camp would be at, what teams are going to scrim, and what hotel would we stay at, what would the food situation be. Unfortunately,
a lot of dog's body work there, I noticed. It's almost like he's just a Korean translator. You know, what's going on here?
That would have sizable impact.
If people forget as well, the whole point of this split was this is where the previous split, when Loco had been brought in as the emergency coach and they had all the rookies, they'd actually finished like top 4.
Yeah.
Like, that was like when they were close to going to the finals. So the stupid thing was, this was supposed to actually be like the feel-good split of like, how they improve with the rookies, get even better. And obviously that didn't happen at all.
Tried to fix them remotely.
Definitely didn't happen.
It just kind of wasn't working.
Honestly, the Korea trip was a pretty big failure before we even arrived.
All right, people want us to turn up the video this time.
Especially I was let
turn
down,
up the,
so then that
video
made me
audio.
Frustrated, and then eventually my frustration just
It only
kind of
sounded
led to a
loud when it was
blow
the
up.
music, apparently.
No, like you're playing it where you're just going through the motion and wasting your time instead of trying to win or instead of trying to recover. Like there's no talking about what we should do afterwards. There's no talking about how we're going to win.
Getting pissed off.
There's no talking about how we're going to team fight. Like you're just
listening to
jumping.
anything Loco's saying right now. Like.
Yeah, that's my job. I'm a jungler.
It's so effortless. Like you're not shot calling. Shot calling also part of your job. Like talking to your teammates, that's also part of your job.
What was going to be a really preparing.
Well, there's some players you just can't win over.
Ended up turning into a complete.
Also, this is when Loco
disaster.
hadn't just accepted, like,
a few
I'm not a teenager anymore. Time to get rid of those massive gauge days. Just maybe move on.
Went
Start
so far
cultivating a new look,
almost
you know?
not repairable.
Swallow the pride, because I know you really, really want to fucking win. Like, there's times where...
I mean, there's no pride. I already said, yeah, I made the mistake. It won't happen again. I don't know what else you want me to say. Whether you want me to get in my time machine and go back before the scrim starts.
That's amazing. That's actually hilarious.
When I made a mistake regarding pick and ban, I apologize and say, like, I'm sorry, like, and then we try to move on. Instead, like...
So the fact that they're already at this point is crazy, because this is not... Usually, criticism of teams shouldn't be taken personally, but they're already trying... Like, you can tell they're both taking it personally, so they're trying to apologize already. This is already, like, the worst environment.
No, there's two parts to this. One, notice how Loco makes the classic mistake I always say coaches must never do, which is you've got to sort of, like, control the, like, direction of the narrative of what you're talking about. So, for example, I always say famously, say you're coaching, like, a mid laner. You never get into the minutiae of an argument about how a mid lane matchup's played, because he's going to win on that.
Of course.
So in the same sense, you don't let the guy flip it to like, but when you make a mistake, you can make it. Well, I know I do that, but I apologize. Like, what? Now he's just shifted the whole power dynamic because he's the coach, you idiot. Like, you're now just like, well done, I'll try better next time. It's like 1 minute
LCS,
in.
like Team Liquid, might be able to, in scrims, have a 60-70% win rate. Maybe they win.
Before the money,
if they
he's
go
in
to
that
Korea, the first week they get there, they're going to lose most of their
ready to
scrims.
take
If they
on the
play the
whole
best
world.
teams, they're going to get destroyed where they have almost no chance to win. So that in itself destroys their confidence. And unfortunately, especially younger players, makes them think like, oh, not only am I not going to win now, but how could I ever win playing with these teammates? Something has to be done right now. We have to fix it all. And even worse, the secondary
it's a
aspect.
big deal when you have scrims and you have a boot camp and stuff if you win or lose. That's sadly, even to this day, even in Counter-Strike, the game I obviously know very, very intimately to this day, you wouldn't believe how many teams, their whole self-image is like, we won all the scrims, or the worst ever, right, was Team Liquid in CSGO when they were the most dominant team last year, was coming into the major, and before the majors, like for this second one last year, we had a player break where it was like 3 weeks off. And so everyone practiced for the major then. And just because they lost a bunch of those scrims, at the major, before they were even eliminated, they were like, yeah, I don't think we're going to win actually in private. Like, what? Like, you were the number one team? Why would they? Just because they lost some scrims? Isn't that mental?
Why would that change?
I know. It's a problem with being young players though, isn't it? Because I always think half the problem with esports is like, you have loads of young sports stars as well, but every team, because you have way bigger teams in sports, you have all those veteran players as well, you know. We just don't have that in our game, do we?
No. No,
like Loco is the veteran in this scenario.
Yeah, well, I mean, the nice thing is that every year that passes, right, we get more people who are more experienced and more veteran status. So hopefully we're learning something as an industry.
Also, how terrifying is this to say? Dardoch is now an actual veteran in the context of... This was in 2016, I think. He's now a veteran. Holy moly.
All right, so they like
when
it
they
we
are
pause.
playing in the West and things go badly, they can still keep telling themselves, you know what, there's a lot we can still improve. As we keep playing more tournaments, we'll get better. Remember, last split was the first split for these rookies. Now when you go to Korea, you feel like, okay, right, no excuses. We're playing the best teams in the world. This is our best chance to get as good as we can get now. We're going to see what the ideal scenario is.
Pause it. Yeah, pause that.
So that's actually where I live.
Yeah.
Remember Sinchon or whatever.
Yeah, so the Ever 8 hotel was super funny because I think you guys remember like the Korean contenders team, Ever 8. It was actually sponsored by that hotel, and they would host all of the foreign teams' boot camps. So they actually made like quite a bit of money by being like the full service boot camp option. It was a clever business idea, but it ended up being really, really good. All right, we can keep going.
Feels like, well, what else can we do? I mean, there's no like, we can't go to the moon and play versus Martians to get better. Like, we just played the best players.
Like,
we're in the ideal practice scenario, and we're doing even worse, and we're doing really badly, and all our problems are very apparent. That's going to come to an extreme head when you're in this scenario of a Korean boot camp. So that's why I think if you look in the past, the teams that have gone to Korean boot
this
camps
was also clever.
weren't really
Just recorded
cohesive.
it over Skype, and it was slightly scuffed and a bit loud.
Yeah.
By putting it on a screen like that, you don't notice it as much somehow.
Yeah.
It actually makes it
smart.
not look as bad, you know. Whereas if that was full screen, like you try and make it look, it would, you know,
it makes it look like one of your Thorin's thoughts that you made public instead of just describing what was going on.
Units and didn't have a very clear coaching philosophy and didn't have the star players and the role players in the right harmony and the right balance. They're the teams that get worse from the Korean boot camp because it just adds more pressure and unfortunately rips you apart at the seams from the few elements that were holding you together.
Great bands there.
I think Josh is definitely an interesting personality to have on any team. Like say Loco, Josh, or Piglet.
How do you describe Dardoch? Remember, he's like close personal friends with him. He's an interesting person. That just means asshole, but like you like him.
I've said this before about casters. Whenever a caster says the play is interesting, they mean bad.
Yeah.
They mean bad. The only reason we use the word interesting in esports is to mean bad. That is it. That is the code right there. All right, we can go.
Those personalities are pretty similar. They want to voice their opinions, like they all just get mad at each other, and having a lot of big personalities on a team can just lead to a lot of conflict.
What I love as well about this is that it's just Loco versus everyone. Like, he makes it sound like, oh, the whole team's breaking back. Like, yeah, there's Dardoch versus, like, Piglet, and Phoenix was sort of, like, generally upset. But really, the whole show is just, like, Piglet versus locodoco, locodoco versus Dardoch. Like, it's just him versus everyone.
Being better than other players in the game doesn't give people right to, like, act like babies on.
Can you even imagine him saying this? The self-awareness. That sentence is... Imagine going back in time and telling him that 3 years before. Like, Loco, just because you're actually better at people in video games, you shouldn't actually think that makes you a better person. That was his entire metric, judging everyone in the world. Of course.
too. I'm sure like on SKT, like Faker probably has favoritism from Goma, and other people feel that way about me and you. And I still want to have like continuously good relationship with you, but I want it to be like a fair relationship between you and me and other people.
He just doesn't even care.
I think
he's so checked out.
You should be more revered, and you should have more say. But for that to happen, your play has to always.
Look at Piglet's face. Pause this. What, this is Piglet's expression when he realizes that he won the world championship and is now somehow on an NA team coached by the old Najin player Locodoco. Like, how does this happen when you haven't even started your season yet and you're at a boot camp and people already look like this? I mean, thank God they were filming it, but why wouldn't they make changes or something? You can clearly tell this isn't going to work already.
Been good with, but
he is.
Mentality and your
he's really just thinking in his brain right now. He's thinking of all those arguments he had with SKT, and he's thinking, it wasn't worth it, was it? Like, actually, you know what? That was the moment right there. I could have stopped things before they went too far. Could have made up with Coma. We'd still be in the team now.
I think the funniest part is that if he's thinking about that, he clearly isn't thinking about, hey, maybe I could save this situation.
No, of course.
Too.
He already knows that's gone at this point in time. You know.
Let's go.
Also have to be good. Do you agree with the things said?
Maybe.
Maybe that's the best answer I'm going to get out of Josh and Piglet.
The way you treat us and the way you treat Piglet is completely different.
Okay, if you feel that way, I'll try to make sure it's fair as possible.
Like there are facts on the table and everyone feels the same way about it.
Okay, if you feel that way, then I'll try to change it so it's not that way.
Wait a minute. What? Go back. I want to see that sentence because obviously I need to see that in the subtitle. Right? This is the most mental thing a coach could ever say. Just go like, well, if you feel that way, then I will change, but it's not that way. It's like, what are you talking about? What does that even mean on any level? He may as well literally just be saying like, well, if that's what you say, then I'm going to say back whatever I need to say for you to feel like I agree with you. And can we please continue, Mr. Dardoch? Like, but what are you even talking about?
Also, what does it even mean? Like, what are they what treatment are they actually talking about in this boot camp? You haven't even played a match yet.
Why would that even be a concern?
Exactly. I don't think this one's on Loco. I think like the fact that they perceive it this way before they've even played a match, like somehow. This is dardoch's entire mentality, though, is that somehow he is due more. He's like, well, you treat Piglet differently. Oh, yeah, that fucking dude who won the world championship? Yeah, I do treat my star players differently, just like any coach on any team, because star players have more leverage.
This is also, by the way, why every interview in bloody esports is just people like, yo, we were feeling very confident that week. Like, yeah, we've got like a great relationship. Because I always just say, like, aren't these games like video games? There's strategy involved. Like, if I lose the game, it's like, right, we couldn't keep Nasus under control there and top lane. Like, why did we let Sajai through the job? They're not doing that. They're just like, they're like sat in some like intervention circle, like, Loco, when you speak about Piglet that way, but not towards me, it hurts my feelings. And I need to tell you, like, what is going on right now?
Is that a support group?
What is this? Yeah.
The most dysfunctional support group.
That's the sad thing. It really is just like a guy who was in prison and is now trying like doing community outreach work with a bunch of troubled youths. Like, listen, you don't have to go down the path I went down. You can fix your career. Like, that's what it feels like to me. Like scared straight with locodoco.
Except it just keeps getting worse. So
change it so it's not that way.
Whatever, dude.
It's the way you so heartfelt there, like
whatever, dude.
With me and him and like me and you and
yeah, you're gonna treat him like a baby that he is, and you're gonna be hard on me because yeah, I'm the actual one that's working hard to improve the things that I'm bad at.
Okay, stop this. Why would you ever have this conversation in a room with all the players? This is where you immediately pull Dardoch out and you're like, we're talking about this one-on-one. We cannot talk about this in front of the rest of the team.
This is another thing I told Loco is because this is the thing that I don't think Loco realizes is that, yeah, there's a certain sort of person would prefer it if you addressed everyone in a group like this. But you can actually tell, like seriously, if anyone's seen any interviews with Dardoch or seen him elsewhere, he's not always like this. Like one of the problems with how he's acting now is he might say similar things, like in terms of the words to local, but he wouldn't act like this. Like this is where someone's putting on like it's like pride. Like they don't want people to see you getting wrecked. So in that scenario, you're not going to listen to the other guy anyway because you're just trying to beat him in public in front of everyone. Aren't you? Like you'd respond totally differently in private. I'm pretty sure.
Well, it also creates a schism between the English and the Korean players to even have this conversation right now, because you basically this is just setting up these like fault lines within the team, so that you're always at this point forward, if you allow this to happen, splitting the conversation between the Korean players and the rest of the team. So you just can't do this.
But well, I mean, historically, Piglet's been the same thing the whole time, no?
Yeah, I mean, has Piglet improved?
Yeah,
he's improved.
Yeah, he's improved. Yeah, but like the root problem is still there, as you call them, root problems, and those don't seem to be going away anytime.
I don't think he's improved that much though. Like he spent an entire game not talking. That's
that game
classic.
was really bad.
Everyone had an idea of what we were going to do, but Piglet's idea was totally different. I don't know, he was just lazy. Like, we all went there and it's a boot camp, and that means we're going to play all day. We're going to try super hard and get ready for the next split and try to win it, because we were all, like, super let down from getting fourth. When we arrived, like, Piglet only played the game during scrim hours, and then, like, after scrim hours, he was out, like with his girlfriend, with his friends and stuff, and, like, he was out every night, like, drinking with, like, Impact and
I will say, by the way, in this documentary, obviously because he does a lot of the talking and the arguing, that everyone thinks dardoch comes off the worst. I actually personally think, because Loco seems like he doesn't do a very good job as an authority figure, dardoch's clearly troubled, you almost forgive some of what dardoch does. I actually think it's later on in this that Piglet comes off the worst of everyone, in my opinion. Like that scene when he's like a little kid, like getting angry in his bed and woken up, and it's like, what is this? Like, isn't it? I think at the time he was probably like 22 or something.
Yeah,
it's mental, isn't it?
I mean, also, like, dardoch has a point here where he just wants people to work hard. So he is
being an asshole about it.
Yes,
you know?
yes, I understand his frustration, but there's also the way, you know, honestly, there's different ways that players work, and one of the ways that a player can work is some players just do better with less practice and more social time getting out of that environment. So you kind of have to treat every player differently and see what's going to get their best performance, because if you just force a player to scrim or like to play solo queue all night, well, then they come in out of focus and tired the next day. Whereas if you let them go and they go out and like go out to dinner with their girlfriend, then they come back the next day, they're going to be talking more, they're going to be more active and participatory in scrims. So it really is, a lot of players who are very hardworking, players like dardoch, think that everybody has to do that, but that's not necessarily true. And really, it should come down to the quality of your scrim time and holding people accountable for their whatever they do. If they're performing well in scrims and they're performing well on stage is kind of irrelevant, in my opinion.
There too, so it's like really awful work ethic that we're not used to seeing Piglet have, and it frustrated me a lot because I'm sitting there playing like 18 hours a day with a wrist injury, just like killing my wrist, and then I got some dude just like jerking off.
I'm just doesn't talk. I'm still trying hard.
Okay, so from my definition of try hard is both in play and also in terms of how you guys talk. So I don't think you're trying hard when you're not talking, and I don't think Josh is trying hard when Josh is being passive aggressive.
How I can talk like
Okay, let me finish and then we can go over what is like the little details of it. Like there's times where Josh is actually like really helpful.
I don't think this is bad.
Piglet,
I don't think that's necessarily bad to try and resolve these issues.
No, but half the problem is, like, again, these are all, like, private one-on-one discussions.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Right, as a group, should we all discuss whether Piglet's improved as a person or not? Like,
how hard is he trying? No. What you do is you go to Piglet and you say, okay, like, I've noticed, you know, if there has been a change in your motivation, let's talk about that. What's dropped off? What problems are we having? And then you try and resolve all of these individually, or you resolve it with only Piglet and dardoch so you can overcome this. You don't need to, like, air all this bullshit in front of everybody else.
What do you need bottom? And then there's times where Josh is like, this is fucking 4v5, like there's no point to play this game, like why are we fucking playing this? Can we just pause here? Like, so whenever Josh is like being emo or Josh is being aggressive or passive aggressive, I can be like, yo Josh, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you being passive aggressive? This isn't helpful. Like, I can try to be more understanding of like why he's having those problems and help him with those problems. And same thing for him to you, and then like you to Matt. Like when Matt is having problems, you're like, I can't fucking play. Like my support like doesn't know what to do in lane. Like instead you can like.
It's the way I
win. So here's a hot relationship tip for you guys. The way to not deal with problems in a relationship is to try. It's like to start talking about one problem and then let it spill into completely unrelated problems in the same conversation, because then it just turns into everybody blaming each other and all of the bullshit that people are frustrated with coming up at one time instead of actually solving something. And whatever is going on here, where it's now just bouncing around randomly from player to player, this kind of interaction never solves any problems because no one's focused on one thing.
It's also, in my opinion, like a rookie move for a coach, which is where what you think is, because what happens is you're cognizant of what we were mentioning earlier, that when you talk about one player in front of everyone, he feels singled out. So then you make the stupid move, which they always do when they're inexperienced, of thinking, oh, I better share the load of the blame. So then you go like,
yes.
Even though this guy's the massive asshole, you go like, well, you know what? And Lolo hasn't even said anything. Like, why don't you know, like, you make it seem like everyone has to take the blame.
It's also false equivalency, where like Lolo not saying anything is the same problem.
Because if I was mad, I'd be like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm just saying, listen, you guys be assholes. Like, yeah, I did badly in lane. Like, why am I getting brought in this? And also, why is Loco doing that little like nursery school level stuff of like, now Billy, instead of punching Sam, why don't you just tell him that you're frustrated with how he was to you and that you want him to be your friend? Like, we all know what you mean, but they're never going to do it, are they? They're not going to stop and think that next time.
Play it better, and then we can be like supportive of them.
I'm still playing and I'm still trying my best and still communicating as well, but yeah, I can't lie, but this feels like a fucking waste of my time. It's a waste of my time.
Jesus Christ.
This guy's amazing. That's amazing. Look at everyone's body language here, by the way.
Yeah.
Look at the two on the left.
Piglet's asleep. No one's looking at him. Holy shit.
Super hard.
I can't believe it. What the fuck?
Hardest 5 and only if only some of us are trying.
What do you need Piglet to say?
I mean, words. Like, he doesn't say a word all game. He said, like, I think like a total of like 5 words, maybe an incomplete sentence that whole game.
I think like Phoenix, Sam, and Matt overall weren't that problematic. And with Piglet, I spent a lot of one-on-one time, and we talked about why he shouldn't do certain stuff and how he should behave in certain ways. But he had his expectations set, and there was no way of really going about it.
Piglet is pretty lonely in America. He doesn't have that many close friends. Only close friend I could really think of would be Impact and Phoenix, and because Phoenix got a girlfriend about like last split or 2 splits ago, him and Phoenix have been pretty distant. And then also Impact used to live with NRG, and NRG was really far from us. So Piglet actually didn't have a lot of close friends, and he was really lonely. And he spent a lot of time just on Skype with his girlfriend whenever we were done.
Pre-social distancing.
Scrims, and he needed to be more incorporated with the team, and he didn't connect that well with the players because they were much younger than him, and also the culture is really different. So the only people that he could really like socialize with were me and David. And in Spring Split, our schedule was pretty intense, so on Sundays I would take time off, and sometimes he would hang out with David, and sometimes David would take time off, so he was really lonely. So when he went to Korea and he had a lot of opportunities to see his friends, see his girlfriend, he took a lot of them. So I would say during games itself, his motivation was really high, but...
Yeah, wait a minute. There's a good example of where, like, if you set the narrative and people just follow your premise, they don't, like, check the assumptions you made. So, like, that actually makes dardoch sound like a massive arsehole. So Piglet, a guy who, by the way, as you see in this, doesn't speak fluent English. He can sort of speak English if people know he doesn't, and give him time to say something, and then you try to help him, like, oh, did you mean this? So he's clearly not a guy who's just going to go out of his way to just talk to people and make friends. They're saying there, his only friends were pro players who were either on his team or around it, and then when they were distant, he had nobody. So he's spending his whole life just living in America, basically just isolated.
Yeah, so he's going to take his opportunity in Korea to go hang out with his girlfriend and his friends.
Sound like, but I was screaming loads like, yeah, you live in America. In fact, I think he's even from California or something. I'm not sure about that. I think it might be the case. So.
Yeah, I think Loco, talks about his one-on-one time here, and he's absolutely right about a lot of the issues that Piglet could have been having during that period. It's completely understandable about this, but so the fact that this was blowing up during a boot camp, and by the way, guys. You might not know this, but preseason boot camps they're not really strategically useful a lot of the time because the patches are changing. Most teams do those preseason boot camps just to build synergy and camaraderie and like all be in one place and sort of mentally reset with the new team for the new year. So actually, it's not super critical that you play a gazillion games during that period. it depends on what your goals are, but I wouldn't say that that's normal.
So I would say during games itself, his motivation was really high, but outside of practice, his motivation wasn't high as it could be.
This is always the most famous chain of cinemas in Korea, if anyone's never been there.
Yeah.
CGV or whatever it is. Yeah.
This is probably the one.
They're actually pretty nice cinemas though, like the seats are good and stuff.
Oh yeah.
The only thing is, one thing that's weird about Korea, this is just something I noticed, is you know the commercials before the previews, before the trailers for the movie, you have like the commercials that put in. In Korea, it'll always be like 8 commercials for banks or something.
Yeah.
It's always banks, isn't it? For some weird reason. Which you would never see it like in American one almost, right? Maybe the odd one.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, this probably isn't the Yongsan CGV, but anyway, we can keep going.
저랑 피닉스랑 샘이랑 맷이랑은 솔직히 전혀 문제가 없었는데 그냥 정글러랑 문제가 너무 많았어요. 그냥 계속 너무 싸우고 멘탈도 계속 깨져서.
Zero chance that is true, by the way. We already heard like about 2 minutes ago that he was having problems with Matt's support.
Yeah, in lane.
What he means there is the only person who talks back to him is dardoch. Therefore, he's his only problem. I mean, I'm sure when, like, I can tell actually, by the way, that is one of the things with someone like Piglet is they always, whenever people have a rep for being a massive arsehole, it often is just as simple as they're like a little bit too selfish. So I'm sure he just doesn't notice that some of the other players in the team don't like it when he's being super harsh.
Sure.
He just thinks that, oh, they're fine with it because they don't say anything. They just keep playing the game or whatever. Because obviously, like, Lolo and Matt aren't going to start just popping off at you.
No.
They're just role players, you know. They know which way their bread's buttered.
그래서 계속 그냥 스크림을 하다가 그냥 팀이 좀 너무 안 돼가지고.
I also just appreciate, by the way, that you've got Piglet, Locodoco, and Dardoch. 3 people where everywhere they go, the same types of dramas and problems happen. And all 3 of them just constantly, to use that old analogy, just go around going, why does it always smell like shit wherever I walk? Why does one of you keep doing that? And then they go, have you checked it? You say, what? How dare you? I had the same problems in my last team as well. It's better be better. Like, it's like just 3 of them doing that. That's also one of the reasons this team could never have worked. Is if you had like one bad relationship like that, you could maybe make it work. They have like a whole bunch that are all just simultaneously going on.
I wonder when Team Liquid knew that this wasn't going to work. Like, did they know at this point in time, do you think, that this was just going to be a fiesta?
Yeah, to suspect it, right? If it's going this badly in the boot camp.
Alright.
다른 정글러도 끼면서 게임도 하고 근데 다른 정글러를 끼면서 게임을 하니까 더 그냥 성적이 더 잘 나왔었어요. 그래서 그냥 이 편하다라고 생각했었어요.
Wait, I left my phone downstairs and I was hoping Piglet had one.
Instead of actually getting ready.
We have one actually. Yeah, I'm actually really responsible.
팀이고 팀메이트고 그러면은 당연히 이제 그 아이랑 제일 친해져야 되는 건 당연한 거고 왜냐하면 팀 성적이 잘 나와야 되니까.
Yes, this is what these boot camps are for. This is why you do these boot camps, is because you have to establish the team relationships before you can actually get into the grinding of the game. And I think that's really what's lacking a lot of the time in esports, is that understanding that there has to be some sort of functioning social aspect of this before you can really dive into the technical aspects of gameplay. And it just looks to me like that's what they never established.
This is also, by the way, where I love that quote. It's like a classic quote from a very famous Dutch football player and manager, where he said, "I never saw a bag of money score a goal." Because obviously in football, you know, people obsess about how do you sign the best player or whatever. And his premise obviously is, you know, it doesn't matter like basically who you have; it's how you use them, how they work. So similarly, right? You might think naively, if you really, like, even if I'd ask Piglet right now, if we could stop and he's not in the moment, we just tell him to look and go, when you think back now, you were literally getting paid a king's ransom in terms of how much they were paying you here. Like, did you never think to, like, you know, change your behaviour or consider that in your expectations? But the problem is, you don't. It doesn't matter how much they pay you, what the opportunity is. In the moment, you're still going to react as if you were in any team.
Well, I mean, there's that like famous study too that shows like beyond a certain point, it doesn't your happiness isn't affected by how much you get paid. Like if you can live like a decent middle class life, it's like $70K a year or something like that. There isn't a substantial happiness difference if you get paid more money, because it's all about your actual work and life environment at that point in time.
근데 이게 저한테도 너무 힘들었고 팀한테도 너무 힘들었을 거예요. 너무 말도 들으려고도 안 하고 고치려고도 노력도 안 해가지고 좀 가까이 하기가 너무 힘든.
That's a super Korean mentality too, which is that I understand why it might be problematic for Piglet, because the Korean culture expects you to sacrifice for the greater good, and so it's probably very hard culturally for him to deal with Dardoch, who doesn't seem to have that
especially
same
because he's the jungler. That's the thing
Yeah.
I always tell people as well, is like because I've noticed when Korean junglers come to the West, they tend to be the ones that are super hit and miss. It's because in their teams they just do whatever the team says and what the coach says, you know. Like the idea of what Dardoch does, where he's basically self-directed and even wants to, like in this scenario, literally come play with the best laner on his team. Like that just wouldn't even fly in Korea. And especially add in as well, remember this when you're thinking about people's dynamics and expectations of relationships. I always used to use this example of how like the Korean hierarchy is based around age. The one I always gave was when Locodoco left the Mig Frost team and they brought in Shy, not the Shy, it was another top laner called Shy at the time. He basically was like an amazing rookie. Almost immediately was like the best top laner.
It blows my mind you have to distinguish between Shy and the Shy. That's crazy. Anyway, continue.
But basically, when he came in, so when he became like the star player, was super fucking good in those next OGN seasons. I always told people, in the West, because you're now the star, you would become the most important person in the team, you would get the most status, you're gonna. But if you actually ever looked in his team, because he was by far the youngest and they were all the veterans, he was always still bottom of the hierarchy, and that's actually the expectation. So also to someone like Piglet, he genuinely will be thinking like, I'm literally a world champion, I'm older than this guy,
Yes.
and I'm here in theory to make this team better, so why the hell is this guy like arguing with me? Like, why doesn't he show
absolutely.
me some respect
Yeah.
or like fealty, you know?
I mean, it's not even like, honestly, it's not even about Korean culture at that point. I think any athlete, if they were older
Sure.
and were a champion, would expect that level of respect, period.
Oh, good, I can't lie. That looks fucking good, doesn't it?
I do miss the food.
Start off about Korea. I definitely loved Korea. Just being in Korea, all of the solo queue I played, all of the food I ate,
Paris
all
baguette.
of the things
It
I
is.
did.
That's in Paris baguette.
Korean bakeries are garbage, though.
It basically, here's the funny thing, it looks legit, doesn't it? Like, oh, it looks just like it.
You
It's
see that
always
hot
like-
dog
It never
thing?
tastes like it though, does it?
So if you look, hold on, let me see if I can actually point to it. This is going to be kind of challenging because we're reversed. So I can't actually point to it. But if you see in the center of your screen at the top, there's like these pastries with hot dogs in them that are horrible.
They have a lot of weird
They're
things.
horrible. And also, bread is super sweet in
Yes.
Korea for no reason. Baked goods
Like
in
that
Korea
croissant
are
would taste very weird because you know proper
tastes so
croissant has
weird.
like a bitter taste to it, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
that would be all glazed and stuff, wouldn't it? Their idea of what that food is completely alien.
There's a lot of great food in Korea. Koreans, the two things that are the most shit in Korea are pasta and bakeries. It's very hard. I was lucky that
hence why pizza sucks, because it's the merging of the two areas, right? Because pizza's famously terrible there.
In my neighborhood, luckily I had a German bakery, so I could get like European style bread. But man, it was rough. Right, we can go.
Korea was just amazing. But then there was a lot of like flares sparking. I think there was a lot of friction getting built up because of the sort of arguments that were happening. And I think the way that, as a team, that we handled it was not good because...
That's actually a little bit cringe, I've just realised, because what he said before that, you know, every now and then, we get this on talk shows a lot. If you're talking a lot, because you're already thinking of the next thing you're saying as you say the first thing and you're constructing it, if your brain has like a little like fuck up and it just says the wrong thing, you never catch it right.
Yeah.
So he said, like, while we were there, you know, there was a lot of flares sparking. He obviously meant just like sparks flying or something, because flares sparking doesn't actually make any sense. But here's the key thing, I did know what he meant completely.
Yeah, of course.
It's just a little brain fart, wasn't it? I do feel bad for this guy, though.
Causing a bunch of really just a lot of unnecessary conflicts that really just built up over the entire boot camp. I don't know, I've never really been the one to try to really relate with those kinds of personalities. They seem really out of my comfort zone. So
this guy is such a cool guy. He didn't even just say,
bad for
I don't like arseholes, and people are just horrible to me for no reason. He goes, I didn't really resonate, sort of, with like, you know, like what? You can tell this is a nice guy.
Poor Bat.
Like Loco or like Dardoch. Or maybe even
holy
Piglet,
shit, he name-checked Loco as one of them. I thought he was just talking about Piglet. He even named his own. He literally just said he doesn't usually relate to people with personality of his own coach.
Personalities are, not really what I was used to. So dealing with it, kind of just avoided confrontation. Just trying to kind of just hoping everything would just ride along smoothly. And that caused me to have a lot of regrets.
Well, yeah, I'm saying from my perspective. I mean, you can ask other people's opinions if you don't want to.
People should just be more open about calling each other out and like deal with the bullshit. Like,
I mean, I got to deal with myself first. Like after I deal with myself, I'm sure I can call other people out.
I mean, what about you guys?
Like I think it's just the coach's responsibility because I can't.
No, it's not just the coach.
Well, no, because I can't call out Dardoch's bullshit or Piglet's bullshit if I have my own bullshit. I have to like.
Why isn't Matt the coach? Why isn't Matt the coach?
Yeah.
Matt's 100%
What's
right
great
here.
is, if you in your mind just imagine that Loco was the player and he goes, I think we should all just call out each other's bullshit. Again, something that an asshole would agree with. Of course they would want that behaviour, but like mandated even, you know. And then like the actual coach comes in, Matt, and he goes, well, I don't know actually, because I think we should all work on our own problems first, you know, before we sort of blame each other. He goes like, no, call each other out, call them out now. Matt, what do you hate about Lolo now?
And there is a place for that. There is a place for that, to be fair.
Every now and then.
But well, you can do that if people aren't going to get mad about the feedback, and everybody knows that you just have to be direct in order to fix problems. But in order to get to that place, you have to have a baseline level of trust. And so if you don't, you can't just start there. You have to have the camaraderie first so that people trust each other, and then you can be like, oh, you did this wrong, or like, I thought you played this really badly, and the person's not going to take it personally. So if you don't have that, the whole thing just falls apart.
To fix themselves before they fix someone else's. But you're the coach. I mean, I guess at some point, like if you have
people don't help each. If we wait for everyone to be perfect and only perfect people can help other people, then like that creates this system where if you're better at the game, you can just shit on people that are worse than you at the game, and then people that are worse than you at the game.
It's a weird like garbage. Yeah, that's how it works. You get it, Loco. Yeah, well, by the way, another thing also you have to mention about this documentary is if people don't know Locodoco's own history, because he absolutely, literally was the problem child of his teams. He was basically the Piglet of his teams, except not as much of an arsehole, more like just a troublemaker, you know. The problem is, Loco does that thing, I have to say it is a pet peeve of mine, which is where the best example is people who are alcoholics, right? And the way they now almost like flex that they were an alcoholic is they just brag now about how they never do that and how bad they were. You know what I mean? Drug addicts do the same thing.
Sure.
Like, oh, I used to be so bad, you know, I'd do fever. But it's like they're almost reveling in it instead of actually like regret. So the problem is when someone does that, like Loco now has tried to flip it completely the other way, like, I just don't want to, let's all talk about how we're feeling, because he's gone so hard the other way. It also doesn't quite, like, you don't quite buy it, do you? You buy it a little bit, like, you know, he knows that he's got to go somewhere that direction. But if you're those players, by the way, like Dardoch and Piglet, the whole time I just know him, like, I'll get the old Loco out of him. If I just keep needling him, eventually I'll get it out of there. And they know it, they will summon the demon eventually. Yeah.
We'll get there.
Wise, I kind of just go up and down. Like, it's a really roller coaster effect. Sometimes I'm really confident. Like, I don't care what anybody says. I just think I'm like the best player ever. But other times I feel like I'm just a worthless player and I have nothing to contribute. And
by the way, one thing to say that this exact point points out, because I've been thinking about this a lot recently with all the bullshit that happened with Forgiven. Because what people don't realise is, privately, I've basically had the same arguments with Forgiven as what arose now with all the problems he's had in his team. It's just the difference was, when his skill level meant he was the absolute best player, I could also see from his perspective how it was frustrating when other people didn't practice enough. You know, I could see both sides of it. But the problem I always told him was this. I always told him, right, even if everything you say is true and they're not practicing enough, they're not doing this, I said, if you look at really great teams, I always think one of the like psychological hacks that makes great teams better than they should be, like the Patriots in the NFL are the best example is, it's not that they actually had all the best players, it's that you managed to make it so that even the guy who is just like a role player that you've sort of like picked out of the scrap heap and isn't actually that good, even he gets the confidence from playing with the Tom Brady or with the it actually makes them think they're better than they are. Whereas instead, what happens when you have a Forgiven or a Piglet or a Dardoch is they don't inspire in their teammates like, wow, I'm playing with Dardoch, he'll carry the game, because they make it the whole time like, I did all that stuff, you didn't do any of that, and in fact you only did the shit part of the game. You actually ruin that. You don't get that little extra hack, because it's not like, as much as, those TSMs and Fnacs have had a lot of good players, they also sometimes had role players, the Santorins of the world, that they weren't able to win
and all you have to do is just acknowledge that person and say, hey, you did this specific job that we picked you up for well, and it makes those people at least feel good and motivated.
That like sort of emotional roller coaster is like really bad when you're in a like an environment where you're expected to be consistent, like everything's supposed to be constant.
We should be practicing on teamwork. That happens one of the 20 games. Because we have internal problems.
I agree.
And we need to find success to improve our internal problems, but that comes from improving our gameplay, which comes from the 1 in 20 games that we actually study the game and get better as a team.
I think it comes from people being like, my feelings don't matter as much as the team success, so I'll shut up.
It's the way Loco, it's the way after he said that, right? Because in his brain he thought, nailed it, just read this guy's whole soul. Like he did that little smirk, like. Well, you know what I'd say, Matt, is maybe some people in the team like looks to the camera. Like, some people aren't talking about their feelings enough. I
like how Matt is like explaining this in the most gentle way possible, and Loco just translates it into.
Remember, every time you watch Locodoco and Matt, just imagine that Matt was the coach and that Loco was the player, and the dynamic just makes so much more sense.
He's like that because we're not normal people. We're all people with not exactly normal mental states, and like we're all different people with very.
So you think people are incapable, or people?
It's not incapable. It's just harder. Yeah, like it's definitely a choice, but it's not an easy choice.
If it was easy, then every team would have good teamwork. No, it's the teams that decide my teamwork and my team's success is more important than my personal feelings. Or every team would have good teamwork.
Yeah, but there's also things that makes it unnecessarily harder that can be easily fixed.
I think every team has that. It's up to individuals to make their own choice.
Matt always struggled with being a player and putting a lot of work into being a player. And Matt was someone that succeeded in a lot of ways, not by his own talent when he was playing with Piglet, because Piglet was just extremely good, and Matt's performance suddenly dipped. And a lot of the confidence and the ego he got to build with that suddenly was unmet, and he was, I guess, like, he had like a reality shock.
What I love about this, by the way, is this is an example of what I said before, where Locodoco's learned how to sound like he's different, but he basically just essentially admitted he subscribes to the same philosophy Piglet does. Like he goes, thing with Matt was, a lot of his success and confidence wasn't actually based on him, it's because he was just getting hard boosted by Piglet. That's like I've just translated what he basically, like he actually still clearly thinks on that level, doesn't he? He thinks he's just there to convince the role players why they need to just take endless amounts of shit from the star players. Even though that goes against everything he was saying earlier, you know.
Also, there's no explanation here for why Matt fell off or anything like that.
Questioning a lot of the plays that he did, a lot of the directions that was taken with the team, because I believe like you should have the best fundamentals, the best basics.
Also,
and you should
like,
constantly
listen, go back a sec to that last frame. Just bring back Locodoco there. Just a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Like, listen. I'm not one to normally comment on fashion and stuff, but here's something I have noticed, okay, because he's got a lot better now, so he's improved, okay, so it won't hurt his feelings, right? If you have a nose like that, don't wear those glasses, because all I need to do right now is draw one of those fat mustaches underneath, and it's a disguise kit from the 1950s. Just don't pair that nose with those glasses.
That's true.
It looks exactly like... Someone take a screenshot now and just draw over that with MS Paint, and then put it... I guarantee it's going to look like someone's in disguise. Had to be done.
That's basic, and you should constantly put work into that.
Regarding what Piglet needs to say to you, like if I say be specific.
By the way, we should definitely make some sort of a skit, like fake mockumentary of everything going wrong, and we'll make it like I'm like the Piglet character at Flashpoint or something, you know.
Yeah.
And then everyone's being like, the problem is like, Thorin, we'd just like it if you could like explain to us your feelings. And I'm like, oh, it's all bullshit. Or like, I'll be like, we should do one of those.
Really hard to help too. Like I can't just tell Piglet be friendly, but if you tell me specifically, yo Piglet, I need you to say these things, this things. It helps me when you say this thing, then I can tell that directly to Piglet. And when
again, why is this conversation happening in a room full of people?
It's only Piglet's just sat there the whole time. He goes like, Matt, well, if you just tell me what you need to tell to Piglet, then I'll tell Piglet.
To be fair,
and then he'll tell me whatever messages he has for you. Like,
to be fair, this is
just turn to him, he's right there.
But this is also complicated English, so Piglet might not even understand what's happening. So
he doesn't even care.
Like, oh, you didn't do this, but if you just say be friendly, I can't be like, yo Piglet, why weren't you friendly this game? Because I don't know directly.
Well, I
what
mean,
you
the
want.
solution to that would be like we actually have to be friends. Like that's like a solution. It's not just like just say friendly things.
He's actually just cracked Locodoco's entire game right there. He goes, wouldn't the solution just to become friends instead of saying friendly things? Loco's like, let's just say friendly things for now. Just give me a break. Because he's obviously right on some level, isn't he? You know?
Well, that's what we were talking about before. Matt's like, but what if we started with a good relationship?
What I'm actually learning about this is, Matt, listen, man, you're not that good at support play. Just scrap the support thing. Just become a coach.
Yeah.
You actually seem
like you know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, you might be able to make some of these relationships work.
In terms of
I mean, you see how like CLG is like a very like
Jesus, he picked CLG because remember
environment.
this is 2016 when they had that team when they kicked double if they still had the success
Yes.
initially. So obviously at the time CLG's like the go-to example of like the friends team or whatever. Didn't work out. I'm just going to say that, Matt. That sort of fell off pretty hard the next year.
They're like very teamwork driven, and they got second in MSI and like. Yeah, like I've talked to you before, like how CLG's environment is ideal for people to improve, and like for Team Liquid, it's like very results driven. Like if we're not winning scrims, like it's a bad scrim, and it's like the opposite for CLG. Like if they're losing scrims, it's still a productive scrim, and I thought that was like an optimal way to run like scrims and like have practice, and I think the key to that would be a friendly environment.
Matt understand.
This guy's a G.
Matt actually understands what practice is. The funny thing about this is that this is just a sad indictment of esports. That he actually has to put into words that even if you're losing, practice is still valuable, and that's somehow a revolutionary concept.
You notice as well, while he's talking, right, saying all these really like salient points, like, some of them quite shrewd, you know, for a rookie as well. When was his first year as a pro? Not a single teammate's listening, commenting. They haven't got any thoughts on this. They're all just like, right, is the shit of support finished talking yet? Can we start the next scrim and lose that? Or whatever the fuck. And then, like, they don't even care. It's actually sad. He's the only one making good points here. Then again, the problem was, though, as an actual player, he wasn't that great. He was just an okay player. So that is the problem. And sadly, it's also like just the way the world works. Is that the people who always have the really great attitudes tend to be the players who unfortunately aren't the best players.
Yeah.
There's just that natural disharmony that you have to fix in that regard. Then again, everyone just loves this guy because of that Drive episode. I'm waiting for the sequel, Drive 2. His career as an Uber driver after this.
Jesus. I mean, seems like he actually can be valuable, to be fair, to the infrastructure of an org.
And he's like, well, just because that was a bad trip doesn't mean you have to give me 1 star. You know, maybe it was productive. I got you where you need to go.
Being friends with all your teammates, and yeah, that's something that I've asked before. Like you should probably work on.
Okay, how do you want to work on it?
I mean, to be honest, I don't have the answer, but a good start would be to try and be friends, I guess.
Okay, so whenever I suggest things like let's go do this, or let's go do this, or let's go do this, or in the past where I brought up people being friends with each other, you say stuff like, I don't think I can ever be friends with this person, I don't think I can ever be friends with this person, this personality is too different, I don't think I can do things with this person.
Yeah, it's hard for me to see that, but I mean, that's like what it takes to be a good team, I think.
So, I like try to facilitate that and then try to get that going, but various people complain about I can't be friends with this person and they won't put their first foot forward, then it's hard to facilitate that at all, and I think you're part of that.
I mean, I'm asking you to fix a problem I don't know fix.
Wait a second. What I love about that is the one guy who's really trying. He's making so many good. He's even saying like, "Can't we all just be friends?" Then Loco just sort of goes like,
Jonas just calls it
"Here's
out.
why this is your fault." What?
Oh no!
You can't catch a break. Can you? It's so mental.
It's like instead of spinning this into something productive or taking him aside and being like, "So Matt, I really appreciate what you said, but I think you're the one who has to lead this process, so we can't have these conversations anymore." Again, just brings it up. Literally, it sounds like that's a private conversation that he was having with Matt, and now everyone else knows that Matt says he can't be friends with them, so he's just like increasing divisions within the team. Oh my god.
Hard for you to fix it yourself, so I don't know.
You're right, and exactly right there. He's saying something to reply to like what you just said, and you just look at him bare in the face, close your eyes, and roll your eyes. Like that is so disrespectful, and yeah, like how do you think that makes like just straight up, you don't take into like players' feelings at all with anything you do as a coach. Like me and Piglet, for example, we can take the harsh criticism that you give because we have thick skin, but like all of us aren't gonna have thick skin, and the way that you like treat Matt and Sam is like, that's fucking bullshit, dude.
But you treat Sam just as even worse than me, and then you say it's fine because of the relationship, and then Matt and Sam both separately on occasions told me, I want you to be straight up with me and then just give the criticism and the comments.
Yeah, by the way, this is also another example, because I've actually had some conversations about this documentary before with Loco. I told him this is another mistake he made. It's like, why do you keep letting dardoch control the entire dynamic of the conversation?
Yes.
So now he's literally, you're sat there like some mega cocked husband who's like on the brink of divorce, like, oh, well, look at the way you're sitting, like, why are you wearing those shoes? Like, fuck, like, he's literally like analysing the way your eyes were moving while you were talking. Like, what the hell is this? Man alive.
To ask, and then you say how I treat Matt and Sam is disgusting, but you treat Sam worse.
How is rolling your eyes in his face while he's trying to make his point, giving direct criticism? What does he get from you rolling your eyes?
Give the point straight up without by respecting their feelings while you're doing it. Like it can be friendly. That's like the whole point of this. Like
now even Lolo's like, you know what? Fuck this Loco guy. There's all this going on here. So like one of the least toxic players in the team is like, you know what? By the way, Loco actually had a very good point there about that, where he said you treat Lolo, Matt, worse than I think that's also his name, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
He said you treat him worse, but you just think because of the relationship it's fine. By the way, that is also something that's true. People like dardoch will always think they have a team like, no, he gets along with me fine because that guy just says nothing and takes it all the time. And the worst thing is, because people like dardoch do that thing where the hierarchy is just how good you are at the game, they almost do that like fucked up angle. It's almost like the religious angle of like, you are a totally worthless maggot worm who will never succeed, but by the grace of me, like allowing you to play with me, you may be redeemed. And so then they're like, all right, thanks, dardoch. Like, and you're just trying to prove things to them all the time. You have to be reasonable no matter how good you are at the game.
Also, this is like the moment where you're like, okay, we're not scrimming for the next 3 days. We're going to go out and do something else with our time. First thing we're going to do, we're all just going to take a break where we don't see each other for an entire day, and I'm going to go around and talk to you all individually about these issues. You guys have a day off. We'll do what, you guys do whatever you need to do. Then what you do is you start to just do some other activities for the next couple of days that are not League of Legends.
Yeah, you don't have, that's the other thing. You don't have to like ask them, hey, why don't you guys go? You just say, right, everyone will go into the cinema later at 9 p.m. Just get ready. You're the coach. You can set that standard.
Yeah, I would just say like, okay, we can't play League for the next couple days, and I don't even want you guys to see each other tomorrow because you need to all cool off a little bit, and I'll come around to each of you individually and we'll talk about this, and then the next few days we're going to work on our relationship and not actually play the game, which is all frustrating you.
We make the same mistakes over and over again, like don't complain about things, don't do this, and then we consistently do it. Like it's hard for me to like care about you guys.
Like in your mind,
you contradict yourself all the time.
Did you hear that line? He goes, when we make the same mistakes over and over again, and I say don't do it, and he goes, it's hard for me to care about you guys. Like, what? why even say that last sentence? Like the rest of it was all fine, but why even put that sentence in there? And you're already in some like powder keg scenario where dardoch just literally wrecked you to your face as well. Like it's mental, isn't it? Is there no adults in the room? Is my question.
No.
Where are the adults in the room?
You're using when you bring up a fault on yourself, you bring up someone else's fault, which in this case was mine, instead of admitting your own fault and then trying to fix it.
Say
and
it's hard for me.
No, let me finish. And
okay,
also, you also just made excuses for yourself on top of it, which you tell Matt and others not to do all the time.
Okay, my bad.
I love this. I love the way Dardoch's whole thing is like, he really is the guy where he comes in pissed drunk. He's just, stinks of hookers. And then he goes, and then when his wife goes, like, what are you doing at 4 in the morning? He goes, yeah? Well, you didn't pay that parking ticket 2 years ago, did you? Like, what? How's that even at all relevant? Why are we shifting at that? That's such a minor thing in comparison. He's ridiculous to me. I love this, though.
Oh, God.
And then you're being sarcastic instead of trying to solve problems.
No, I literally have been trying to problem solve this whole time.
This guy's amazing. I actually love it. Loco can't win because what he hasn't realised yet is Dardoch's actually cracked a secret that a lot of children figure out, which is you can just lie. And if someone doesn't call you on your bullshit, you just make up anything. So when Loco's like, no, but actually I don't like the way, and he goes, nah, don't do that though. It's just you. And he goes, oh, but what if what? Nah, don't do that. It's like, yeah.
He also has found a brilliant way of deflecting the criticism just by continuously pointing out the other faults in the team.
Which is also what he just said Locodoco does. Even though all Dardoch does the whole time, it's just flip it to whatever you did,
Okay. I said perfect because you answered correctly and you moved on productively.
Cool.
Thank you, Loco.
Alright, so anyways, regarding problems, if you're not going to be specific about things, and if you don't do the things I ask, it's like really hard for me to help you.
Okay, I guess I just didn't know your perspective of it.
Okay.
Oh, I've noticed Matt
That's a nice guy for like, alright, fuck off then. I guess you can't do anything, can you? So fuck it, I don't care anymore. But yeah, I guess I didn't know your perspective on it. End scene.
A ton of times. There's just a lot of things where Matt's sort of in the same position as me, where if he sort of fails now or falters in his career, then he's got nothing to look back to, because I don't know if he dropped out of high school, but I did. So I definitely understand the feeling he has.
I don't want to be someone who just casts aspersions on anyone, but are we going to pretend that little detail of shading on this guy's career didn't make a lot of sense? Just saying, he didn't even graduate high school, so wonder why he has this weird relationship with authority figures, working within a group setting, doing certain tasks he's been assigned to. Again, I don't want to, diminish the young man, but I feel like this is all adding up as I learn more about this guy's life.
Like, I've talked to Matt separately, and I know he's said this in front of everybody before, where he knows he's underperforming, and he feels like he's not an LCS level player, but he's got nothing else to do. So he's got no choice then to feel like he's bringing his team down, but show up every day because he's got no other options. You know what I mean?
I got nowhere else to go.
I understand where Matt's coming from, and I wouldn't wish that kind of feeling on any player ever in League.
This music, give me a break. What's that tower called?
Namsan Tower.
Oh no, it was extremely volatile, Korea, in the scrim room, but outside of the scrim room,
nice. Keep going.
We all loved each other. It was awesome. Like, going out, and I mean, I've always loved Piglet like a brother, and I've always had a ton of respect for him as a player. But
that's where you know someone's really young. Like, he's already making like anime level storylines that aren't even there at all. Piglet literally, by the way, doesn't feel that that's way towards you at all. He just thinks you're the annoying American jungler who won't come bot all the time, like level 4 or whatever. He doesn't believe you're like his brother. Like, what are you even talking about? That just makes me wonder what your actual normal relationships are like. If this guy's your brother, give me a break.
Holy shit. I just like how he's like, yeah, Piglet sucks and won't practice. He's like, I love him like a brother. Okay.
That's like something he just said to justify it.
nobody's ever themselves when they're frustrated or upset. You know what I mean? Like,
That's a good
there's
point.
a lot of things people say that they regret when they say I'm angry or whatever it may be, and I'm the same way. Like, there's a lot of things I've said during scrims where I'm just like, yeah, there's no way I'm wrong on this, where it's just my ego talking, and it's like, yeah, obviously I'm wrong. Like,
the irony being
back
if you
to
just
like,
said these things, that it would actually solve a lot of the problems.
Well, it's also what's so funny about dardoch is in like his voyage through all these different teams is that every time he comes out with a statement where you're like, oh, you're right about yourself. Your ability to self-reflect is fine, but you absolutely in the moment can never control yourself for some reason.
It's actually the same thing that players get with their play, which is that's the reason why it's so hard to actually fix mistakes they make. Because when they come out of the game and they're reviewing the game, everyone can say, oh yeah, I shouldn't have done that, I made a mistake. But the point is, if in the moment you would still make the same mistake, you've got to draw a distinction between that. Just because you know after what you did wrong, that doesn't change anything. You've got to cut it off at the pass, haven't you?
Yeah.
Cycle where it would be like our egos would go at it in the AM, and then we'd be like, all right, let's go out for dinner, and then we'd go out for dinner and like, oh, my bad today, dude, like, sorry. But I mean, we were still ego heads the day after, nothing changed.
Over the course of this 36-minute game, I didn't talk for 20 seconds straight. Damn, I really checked out, dude.
And then now you're being, what is it? This is what you do when you're checked out, and when I call you out.
Ooh, I'm checked out of real life too. Fuck, you got me, dude.
I mean, yeah.
That's insane.
You're being sarcastic. That's exactly what you do.
Yeah, because it's fucking dumb.
Well, these
like,
two
what
just
the fuck?
get a room and fuck. Just get it over with. Jesus Christ. Like, this dick measuring contest is ridiculous, isn't it? It just never stops with them. You'd think they were the teammates, wouldn't you?
I mean, I am shocked that at some level, at this point with Team Liquid, like the manager or the owner has to come in and
That's why I say, where's the adult in the room?
Yeah, bench the ever-loving fuck out of dardoch, because you just can't have this go on.
Well, spoiler, that does happen, but not the way that they think, so we'll see on that one.
It's what you do when you disagree. You become sarcastic because you have nothing logical to say about it.
I mean, I checked out for 20 minutes during 20 seconds during this 36-minute game. I wouldn't account that to checking out during the whole game, like you said. Like, you talk about me speaking in absolutes, you spoke in an absolute in this example. You checked out this game. So I checked out all 36 minutes of this game. I don't think that's accurate at all, Loco.
This guy's just a lawyer.
I made
Yeah, he's going about technicalities. Now, here's the thing.
Oh, so I checked out, did I? At the beginning of the game when I was on the Falcon, was I checked out? No, I bought my items and I went to the lane. It's like,
here's the other thing about this. There are different expectations of different people, right? If you are going to be a leader on the team or you think of yourself as the best player, that means that if you have flaws to your game, it doesn't mean other people who are worse than you don't also have flaws. It means you have to step the fuck up and actually just do it, because that's how your team's gonna win games. The expectation is bigger for you, dardoch, so you can't just like get away with all these technicalities.
This is why I always, with the players who are like this, so Forgiven's a classic example because one of the ones I spent more time talking to. That's why what I would always stress with them is, listen, I can fuck with you on the angle that you think you're the best player and therefore you should get a special treatment. But I said, if you want special treatment, then you have to also expect the same of yourself. Like, the idea now is, because what these players always do, right, is on the one hand they say, like, well, I'm better, so I should get special treatment. But then when they fail, they go, well, you were still shit in the game, worse than me. It's like, yeah, but that's the point. The expectations are
exactly.
You argued for uneven expectations, so
yeah, exactly.
You can't now be like, everyone else wasn't talking. It's like, yeah, you're the star player in the carry jungler.
And it's also your job to talk. So if you don't talk, if the team has set up a structure where you're the one shot calling and you don't talk for a critical 20 seconds of the game, then yeah, we are going to have a problem. It's not like, oh, these other people should have been talking. It's like, no, you acknowledged the expectation that you are going to be the shot caller, so you have to step up and do it.
I made a mistake.
Because you can't be called out on a mistake without fighting back about it.
Yeah, because I didn't check out this game. I tried fucking hard, and I got...
Piglet, ask Matt, ask the rest of the team.
I mean, Zig thinks I didn't check out.
Okay, Piglet.
Why is he... What dardoch also does is, he, in some ways, he really knows how to wreck local here, because he always just picks one person he's talked to privately, like, yeah, well, Matt hasn't said it, but he thinks you're a piece of shit. And then it's like, all right, well, this is a weird dynamic all of a sudden.
Yeah, this guy is actually just causing so many divisions. Holy shit.
2 to 3. I still think that's not very good odds for you. I don't think that.
3-2, and also with coaching staff.
Oh, why does Loco?
Don't play a stupid
whatever
game.
The meta game.
Don't play a stupid game.
Loco's like, right, well, now we're playing who had the most people on the side. Well, I had 3.5 people. It's like, why don't you just say that's irrelevant? I'm making a point to you. Just every time he just gets trapped into his little games.
It is sad. I feel bad for Loco because he just gets sucked into Dardoch's arguments every time.
He's just playing Dardoch saw games constantly. Like, would you like to play a game? And Loco like, oh, how do I get out of this shit? I'm trapped in a maze with a thing like you. You're the coach. At any point, you can actually just tell him, like, I don't care about any of that shit. Just do this now.
Yeah, coaching staff as in myself, as in the person you said you would just listen to.
Yeah, but I'm not listening to bullshit.
That's amazing. It's when he goes, the person you just promised you listen to, he goes, yeah, but I'm listening to bullshit. So again, all this guy does, he understands how you can use semantics and just lie and just make reality however you want it to be. And then Loco's so, I don't know why, but he just thinks like, oh, well, whatever he says must be true, so I have to accept whatever he just said. Can never push back against that kind of...
We're watching like just everything bend to the Dardoch reality. This is amazing.
Yeah, because I didn't check out this game. Like, no one's gonna know who checked out more than myself, dude.
Bullshit. Matt thinks it's bullshit. Me telling you can't joke around. Like, you think it's bullshit when I tell you shouldn't.
Different, dude. Like, if anyone checked out that game, it was 100% Samson, and you haven't said a fucking word to him.
What do you mean I haven't said a fucking word to him?
Like,
you're using absolutes again, where you become hella emotional.
No, you're using absolutes. No, well, you just using absolute on me by saying that I use absolute. That's so ridiculous. This is another point I've always made, by the way. That what's funny is I have to say, everyone I talk to in esports agrees with me, which is that another reason why you also can't expect like people, even if they're like 19 at this time, to act like an adult is because since they did spend the last 5 years playing video games 14 hours a day,
they have no social skills.
They're like emotionally stunted, aren't they? Yeah, they haven't developed. So what you really, if you actually really thought of this as a group of like 16-year-old kids and Loco as like a guy just turning 18, it would actually seem reasonable. This is what you'd expect, isn't it? This level of problem solving, non-existent basically.
I also like Dardoch is just like slowly roping every single one of his teammates into this conversation. Why didn't you call Lorlo out? Like, Jesus.
I called out with Sam and you guys checking out a game. I called both of you guys out. What do you mean I haven't said a word to Sam?
Me only. Like, what?
Because Sam just agrees, and Sam's like, okay, yeah, I was checked out, so there's nothing more to go over, but you disagree about you checking out. That's why I harp on you.
Okay, I agree, Loco. I'm agreeing with Loco.
I disagree with Loco 100%. I think it's absolute bullshit. Everything coming out of his mouth came from the ass first.
This guy's amazing. What I love about Dardoch, right, is this actually reminds me of some of the Forgiven level stuff, because sometimes I'll hear stories, right, and I'll even tell him, like when you actually hear the details of what they said, you're like, you are aware, if we were talking generally about like the premise, I could defend you on this, I could explain why, but it's like when you find out the things they've said, you're like, well, I can't get behind that kind of like, what about possibly, you can't just say to your coach, like, the thing about you is everything you say is bullshit, comes from the ass first, like, so even if you're right, that will never be acceptable.
Somebody in Twitch chat had a good point, which is like, you can tell that this is where people haven't been coached in traditional sports, because Dardoch would absolutely, like, if you ever behaved like this in traditional sports, not only would you be benched, maybe off the team, but at least, you know, there would be some level of discipline where it's like, guess what? You're going to run for the next 2 hours. Like, you punish people who do this. And it gives them time to think about it. Like, you're running sprints or you're running suicides. Like, there is no... Like, Dardoch should have just been, like, kicked out of the room and, like, sent to the practice tool for, like, the next 4 hours.
This is why I always make that point, that the way you can tell that esports was just too immature to even understand the necessity of coaching is the pushback would always be, yeah, but what if the coach isn't good enough? It's like, that's irrelevant. The point is to buy into the premise of coaching.
Yes.
So that's why I always make that point, that when you get coached by your first coach, they're obviously not actually that sick about the game. They're coaching pee-wee football. Like, that guy's obviously a failed coach himself, isn't he? But the point is, you just learn that, like, everyone has to follow what the coach says. Someone has to have the vision for the team. So, like, whenever they're doing that, which is what a lot of, by the way, to this day, LCS players do, is like, yeah, but I don't have to listen to my coach because he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's like, that second part is unrelated to the first part. Your job is to listen to that coach. And by the way, if at the end of the season, like a proper pro, you don't like them, like, mate, I know in the NFL, like, Aaron Rodgers definitely wanted Mike McCarthy fired from the Packers. He thought it was washed up. But he didn't just come out and go, yo, shit, you're doing it. He just let him get fired on his own terms, because by doing what he said, just going, I'll follow your plan, Mike, and then as soon as it's bad, Look, ownership, I did everything he said. That's the best way to get
Exactly,
fired,
that is
you know.
100% it. But there's no equivalent to discipline dardoch here, because you can't do something. I mean, you could go make him run around the block until he's just like falling over, and then of course the whack thing about esports is that everything would then just be like, oh, my coach made me, you know, really tired, and then everybody on the internet would be like, why are you abusing your players? Even though that's literally what happens in sports all the time. Fucking crazy.
I need the bathroom. So should we do a bathroom break for a minute?
Yeah, we could do a quick
to
bathroom break, guys. We've gotten through half an hour of this in the last hour and 20 minutes, so we're going super slow.
This all comes from the ass first anyway, so we're going to go out there, take care of that, and then we'll be back. And then we'll see in absolutes whose fault it was, with the final judgment at the end of the episode. Just to show that we learned nothing. At the end, we should just decide who was to blame for everything as a joke.
Okay.
Like,
we could definitely do that. All right, we'll be back in just a few minutes, guys. We are going to just go to the bathroom for a moment.
I didn't realise there was this much to actually analyse, though.
No, it is. It's insane,
so dense.
isn't it?
It's mental, isn't it?
I think this is actually, like we were just saying, this is way crazier than we remember it being. Like, this is actually ridiculous. You know, the other trick that we can talk about.
It's also a lot easier content just watching someone else's stuff and just making idle comments on it instead of actually having to do something yourself. I have to say, it's a lot easier, isn't it?
This is why all the reaction stuff. The difference is that this reaction stream, you actually get insight into all, because we know all of these people, and we also know esports super well, so I think it's interesting. The other thing that I was ruminating on is that not only in like if you were in high school sports or whatever would the player get punished, but like sometimes you just punish the entire team because then they hold that player accountable. If everyone has to do like, you know, 3 extra miles
basically like
of running.
Full Metal Jacket in that scene in the boot camp where they make everyone do the runs because that one guy can't do it. Basically.
I remember when I was playing lacrosse in high school and like somebody got mouthy to our coach and like he was literally stopped everything and made us run like 7 miles. It was ridiculous. Like, but you know, people can hold each other accountable as well.
And by the way, since when we said on Twitter we were going to do this, like right before that, local was like, "Thanks for the invite." It's like, what would be the point in actually having you watch it though? Because all you do is just make fresh excuses about it or whatever. Like,
well, yeah, exactly. Like you just be like, oh, and adding extra context. I don't want context, dude.
Exactly. Some would say you already did enough in the production of this particular documentary. You did your part already. It's all right. You did yours.
All right, we can get back into it.
I take criticism just fine when it's actual criticism, like
because you don't get to be the one that decides the actual criticism.
Dardoch is a fucking master of semantics as well. Think about that, right? He goes, I take criticism fine when it's actual criticism. So what he says is, any criticism I don't want to take, I just decide it's not actually right, and then don't take it. Well, by that definition, everyone.
The crazy thing is, he even said that about himself in the one-on-one interview.
That's true.
He literally said, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't do that," because he said like, "Oh, I would make this mistake," and defend it, even though I later realized it was wrong. And yet here he is continuing to. He just can't help himself. He's trapped in some mental loop.
Wrong, and I make mistakes. I admit it 100%, dude.
This is the direct cause of slow rate of improvement. Like, I thought we already talked over this. You just listen to the coach.
Yeah, but if that game happens in LCS, I'm going to talk the same amount, 100%, because that was my role in the team. Like, my role wasn't to be a shot caller that game, it was to be an aide. And whether you agree or disagree, like, that's up to you, but I know what my champion does and what my role in the team was that game. Sorry.
Ooh, it's back.
I mean, the big problem I see with this is, like, as I've kind of outlined to me, unfortunately, if you're the owner and you're having problems with a player's attitude, what's unfortunate about this specific instance of dardoch is he is literally the most valuable player in the Team Liquid organization for League of Legends because he's a star player. He's at a position where there are very few star players in LCS. And even worse, he's a native North American player, and therefore he doesn't need a visa situation, and also he doesn't need import slot. So as a result, he is literally the most valuable player in your League of Legends team within your organization. So the big issue for me is, not only do you have to kind of make decisions that take you down a path where the end result is he's always in the team, and something changes, but he's always in the team, whether that be a different coach or working with him in a different way, he's always in the big problem to me is, you can never have leverage over that player for the reasons I've outlined, because ultimately that will make them incredibly valuable to other teams. So one of the big problems with working with dardoch is deep down, dardoch must have known for the entire split, if things don't go my way, if I don't like the way this coach deals with me, if I don't like the way our team does and we don't succeed, at the end of it all, I have the ultimate option, which is stop trying to fix all this. Just leave, go to another team. To me, the big problem is that had to have been in the back of dardoch's mind the whole time. And that's why, unfortunately, the decisions that were made, I feel like it's not that they were all wrong. It's just that they led to a place where eventually he could leave or would have to be removed.
When did you do this? When did you record this? Had you seen it yet when you recorded this?
No. What happened was they just asked me to do a little interview about Dardoch. 'Cause I think I'd already made the Thorin's thoughts where I'd addressed some of like my thoughts on him as a player, something like that. And then they just said, like, could we do like a one-on-one interview with you? And I just, like, obviously they were asking, what do you think about the dynamic between Dardoch and Loco? And they're having problems in the boot camp. So I actually hadn't seen all this footage. I'm just giving my thoughts on like where he's at in his career, the dynamics.
But when did you do it? Did you do it during the boot camp?
As far as I remember, I think what had already happened is they'd already had the boot camp and maybe even had the first couple of weeks in America, and then I think they began actually the documentary aspect. So this is pretty early on.
So they knew that this was all going to go to shit by the time they called you, you think?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, they already knew essentially that they were going to make the documentary. Because what I remember is I know later on there's a point where I actually make a prediction basically that if you bench someone like Dardoch, half the problem as well is whoever you bring in won't be as good, and then when they're not as good and you bring him back in the team, you haven't sent him any message because he comes back and he realises, well, actually, I was even more valuable to the team than I realised. So I even make this point later and it ends up being like super pressure, exactly what they do by replacing with Moon for a week and then it doesn't work out, you know, so something like that. It was quite cool to be involved though, because one thing I have to say is, again, this is one area I actually was prescient about the esports industry, is from being someone who likes sports and likes to watch the shoulder content around sports. I love it when they have the actual coach or some legendary player that's a talking head and they give their thoughts, you know. So I think it's kind of cool that we're able to do that in esports now. And obviously, like, I like to talk about the game anyway, so I was an ideal candidate to do for that, you know.
Hold on, Susie's trying to get something right now.
All right.
Hey guys.
Yeah, we're definitely live. What's up?
You need some
no, just wanted to say hi. See what kind of shenanigans is going on in here.
Yeah, you can watch it on twitch.tv/Cloud9 where everyone is.
I actually have been on my phone.
Very good. All right, let's get back to the show.
Our secondary team was expected to be competitive, expected to try to make LCS, expected to try to win Challenger, while at the same time, every single move seemingly for Spring Split was to help the main team thrive. My name is David Lim and I was the head coach of Team Liquid Academy while helping out with the Team Liquid LCS team whenever I could. Dardoch and Matt, two of the primary players supporting jungle, were taken from them, and then we didn't have many options because Dom wanted to retire. It really deterred from Team Liquid Academy's spring progress.
Taking over for I Will Dominate is Dardoch in the jungle.
Dardoch started to develop a reputation because
Maddie was on the stream.
What? I missed that.
Go back. I
don't want to go back.
I think Maddie was literally right there on the camera.
He put more expectation on himself.
This guy's haircut when he first joined was amazing as well. He had go back a little bit. He almost has like a proto-beetle haircut or something. Look at this. He's got what I call a helmet of hair. Only nerds have hair like this. Look at this. Only nerds. That's like a Lego man's hair. Yeah. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Also, why one split before? Does he look about 5 years younger?
Also, why is he doing Vape Nation?
Who knows? The young people, I learned this about young kids on the internet, is they just spam other things they see people do and go, is this cool? Am I cool yet? Like, you don't know what you're doing, do you? Like, look, I love to vape. Like,
Vape Nation was never cool. It was just funny. So why would you do it? Anyway.
With that expectation.
Except he's using it in place of like gang signs or like the NBA or something, which is supposed to represent, you from the hood or whatever. Like, that has no relevance. What, you're part of the Vape Nation, are you? Like, give me a break.
Comes eventually, if your teammates are failing you, burden. It became hard for him to see through those mistakes. But in spring, especially after the CLG loss,
you had this game.
They're gonna take Dragon first.
Oh, there was two TP! It's over with double TP!
He only thought it was one. By the way, pause that a second. So just so we're clear, the coach of the team, when his team lost Game 5, by the way, 3 rookies in his team, like, no expectations you should do anything. To even make playoffs is actually a success with that. Especially because you were brought in last minute as a coach, like, all this stuff. The idea you yourself are the one smashing the keyboard because you lose Game 5, like, I don't know. Like, I know on the one level it means you really care, but, like, that does feel like a bit of an immature way to do it, you know?
It's also, you don't want to take that energy back out to the players either, because you, like...
Mentioning Game 5 is pretty good for...
Yeah, first off, you can't change the results right now, like, it's just done. And second off, like, they're already upset by that, and so you just need to, like, reset everything for next season. Like, there's nothing you can do to fix the problem right now. So you just have to be cool and, like, be the calm center in the situation, in my opinion.
Disappointed that we're stuck to either get third or fourth.
Look at the back. Go back a second. That acting was so bad. Watch, because it was fine when he smashed the thing and he walked out, but when he like spun against the wall, he was such a bad actor. Like, go back a little bit before this. Right, there you go. I think we were doing it like Zapruder.
I like how
Acadia's
just like, what's going on?
Like, the way he turns now, like,
We're stuck to either get third or fourth. But...
Oh, what am I doing with my life? Oh, you're tearing me apart,
I'm disappointed that we're stuck to either get
I just
third
think
or
Acadian's
fourth.
just so totally normal, has no idea what's going on behind him.
Acadian's like, boy, I'd hate to be a part center of some sort of a drama involving a juggler in my team.
Yeah, better than our expectations at the beginning of the split, I suppose.
When you're not competing for a championship and you're competing for third, fourth, it's a completely different dynamic.
Who would you actually rather face between TSM and Immortals?
I don't have a preference of TSM Immortals. We're going to smash whoever we get against. We're not going to slow down for practice just because it's like a less valuable match or anything. We're just going to meet whoever we play against, beat them, and then move on to next split.
I can tell he really wanted to win, but he wanted to win without hassle, and it showed.
By the way, that is a good point, because if you notice, I always point this out as well about players who have a very, like, I would just say, like, intense personality. They always fall back on the excuse or the justification, like, but I just want to win so much, that's why I'm like this. But I always tell them, like, that's not even technically true, though, because they also simultaneously will refuse to work with someone who they think disrespects them, or this guy has to talk to me. So actually what you show is that you're not just, like, willing to do everything to win. It has to be exactly how you want it.
Yeah,
you have to be the most comfortable
yes.
person in the room, you know.
What was he suspended for?
Let me think, what was it? I believe this is a Team Liquid website, it's not LCS. They suspended him because of this boot camp, I think.
Yeah,
and then
Fair enough.
well, you're going to see what I said before, basically. You're going to find out that, like, the approach of just bench them, my version of just tilt them, doesn't also work as well, because the problem is who are you bringing in instead.
Right.
Why do we go to, like, the Donnie Darko segments now? Like, he was a very troubled
Also,
guy.
why are they? So they rewinded time here.
This
This
is
is
Incheon,
the Korea. This is the Seoul airport in Incheon. So, but they were playing LCS games. What was there?
No, that was shown from last split.
Okay.
So then now we're going back to America and they're going to start. But that's the thing. Now I've remembered what happened. This is actually why they were. Yes. This is why they were making the documentary. I think this is actually when I got involved. What happened was the boot camp went so badly that before they even played the split, they suspended dardoch for, I think, the first week or something.
Got it. Okay,
then,
it was confusing because they like swapped back to
and
the
then
previous
even
season.
actually, if you saw the tweets they were showing, there was also some fuckery with that where, like, at first they announced he was suspended, it said like 2 weeks, but then they clarified it like, oh well, technically he's already served part of his suspension, so it's 4 days. So it was like, it was also weird in that sense, you know, like on one hand you're making like a bold statement, but then you're like walking it back a little bit. So you can already tell, like, it's like I was saying before, Team Liquid is too wishy-washy that they basically are just signalling to dardoch in subtext all the time, like, you are the most important person, we'll accommodate anything for you, we'll let you do anything, we'll literally just beg you to actually be reasonable to people. Like, when you do that, what do you expect? Like, some young kid who has talent his eagle's going to go out, it's going to soup it over in there.
Yep.
When you're an employee of a company, there's a certain way that you need to behave. And, you know, Josh he's young, right? And he's still learning. You can't harass somebody and then have no consequences associated with it. So at the time, we decided, all right, well, let's document every single thing that he has done. And at the same time, let's also take a look at the coaching staff and the organization and look at the things that we have contributed as well. And let's list all of them out. There needed to be consequences with Josh for his actions, and he needed to understand that you can't behave that way. So we suspended him at that time, and the suspension lasted for 2 weeks on the calendar date, and we had to make a decision on whether or not we would use him going into LCS or not.
With your behavior, the way that you compete as an athlete, one of the things that I think is an issue is your self-awareness.
Oh my God.
Your ability to...
Stop this. This is actually the worst idea ever. Creating a wall list of everyone's problems in front of everybody so that they can stare at it every day is a terrible plan for fixing this, because it's not providing any solutions, and it's basically just a public indictment of these people, right?
They may as well just put him in the stocks. For
Exactly.
Throw tomatoes in
This
his
is,
face.
Steve, buddy, like, this is not how you solve this problem.
recognize what you're doing and then control your emotions. You just kind of act as you feel. And that's a sign of immaturity. Right? If you just act however you feel, there's no thought to it. It's just all reactionary based. When this happens, then things escalate really fast.
I know my role. Better than anyone in this organization, I know my role. And I will stand by that 100%.
Okay, so...
Yeah, I mean, you tell me a bunch of shit.
And you say you don't care.
Wait, separate the issue. Like, you guys can't keep doing this back and forth bullshit. Like, I'm gonna just cut it off right now. This is just us listing issues. If you guys are gonna do the back and forth thing, you guys need to, like, take a minute to step out and cool down. Because that can't happen if we're gonna have a productive meeting.
Alright.
Like, I don't want you to come in and go, oh, can I counter argue? I don't want you to argue with points that are being made, even if you want to try to dispute and prove your side. That's not the time for this right now.
I'll actually take that.
I mean, even now, he's obviously upset. Like, he's fucking spam flicking his lighter. He's like having this.
I just love the fact that, like, if there's one thing I can say already, 35 minutes into this, is like dardoch is hard winning this 1v1 against Loco. Like, Loco's doing his best, but it's like he's the counter to his entire approach Loco's taking. The way he just nailed him there with the fact he was doing that thing with the lighter. Like,
it's like, just don't do that, Loco.
I know,
like, you can't. Oh my god.
Also, by the way, when the coach says that, I mean, that guy there, the Swagasaurus guy, is the guy who actually became, like, I think, like the FlyQuest CEO.
He's the Fly. He was with
FlyQuest.
He was with Immortals, and I think he's a Nick fan. He's actually really cool.
I think he might be somewhere else now.
He's at FlyQuest now. He went to Immortals and then went to FlyQuest.
But when the guy said that, like, you know, if you're gonna keep arguing, you can go and take a minute. Like, that was almost like a threat. Like, Loco's like, yeah, actually, I'll take that minute, thanks. And just leaves. Like, what? Like, you're the coach. They're all just cool with it. No, we can continue with meetings. Actually, I'll take a minute.
But this is also, I think, problematic. It shows that the organization itself hasn't empowered Loco enough, because, like, he shouldn't have to take a minute. He should be able to punish the players, but I don't even know if he has the authority.
Well, if you remember, that was half the problem with this scenario. Like, really, the problem with this scenario is it's one of those ones where the success you have can actually hurt you in the long runs. Because since the first lineup they had, as you saw, was the one where they started the split with, like, Piglet, Dominate, but then immediately they benched them because, like, Dominate wanted to retire, for example, because immediately they lost most of the main roster and promoted the academy team. Then, because they had, like, the success immediately, made it seem like there was no problems. And then the other thing, like I mentioned before, is Loco was never supposed to be the coach.
Yes.
This was the one where they hired that, like, baseball coach or whatever, and they fired him before the season began. So
he was a football coach.
It was where Loco at the time was supposed to just make content. That was when he was doing all the, like, I'm not crazy, I'm just Loco, whatever.
Yes. And also, but they had David Lim, but they made Loco the coach too, which is a little weird, because...
If you notice, unfortunately, from seeing his career, David Lim is, like, assistant coach material. He's just...
I mean, that's fine, but it is weird, you're right, though, that they hired him to make the content.
But as a result, I don't think they were ever fully in on him, you know, so I don't think they properly
To be fair, he did do his job of making the content.
Oh, yeah, of course.
In this way.
But I agree with you on that level, though. That's the area where the TL org fucked up with Loco, is they also didn't give him the proper power.
It is hard, I think, if you have this coach that you want, and then they put Loco in this position for the play, because the players know that he's kind of an emergency.
Exactly. It's like being the substitute teacher. You never fully respect
that sucks.
You're always waiting to fuck with the guy if he annoys you, you know.
Yeah, that sucks.
This isn't a productive argument either way. Like, he's obviously upset, and it's, like, really, like, pissing me off.
Okay, so what I'd recommend is let's just take a break.
dardoch's also never had a boss, if that's how he speaks to his boss.
No.
The thing with this guy is, He's obviously upset.
But
He's
nobody
pissing me off. Boss.
Here's the other thing about Dardoch though, is that we can't obviously speak to his experience on other teams, but just watching the way that everybody just rolls over and dies to him. If everybody on every team just did this, like Steve should be just owning this guy right now. Like why is this? I don't even understand like why Steve is allowing this atmosphere to occur instead of just taking Dardoch out and being like, you do not get to talk to anybody until you fix your shit.
Pick up tomorrow on stuff. This is like a work in progress. Not gonna solve everything.
Can you go sit with Dardoch for a little bit and just like make sure he's cool and hey, just want to see how things are going, you know?
I'm telling you, Loco, the way that you did that was sending a non-verbal message to everyone in the room. Yes. Just wait a second.
Steve's right.
The non-verbal communication can be as strong, if not stronger, than what you actually say. Okay, and you were communicating based on how you did that. I'm mad. I'm frustrated. Fuck Dardoch. I don't like this. All these things that you were saying, just based on how you acted. And I mean, did you feel the same thing? Yes.
It was really obvious.
It's really, but no. I'm saying the non-verbal communication sent that message to you in your head. It also sent that message to Dardoch. So it's how you carry yourself. So instead of, let's say, Nick, I think we should all step out of the room. You should be like, Nick, good idea. Why don't we all just take a break? I gotta piss. I'm gonna step out real fast, guys. Just kind of regroup. Okay. And you make eye contact with everybody. You look at Dardoch, like, cool. Is it okay if I step out? And then you step out. That would have sent the message like, oh, I appreciate the suggestion about stepping out. I am not mad. I am in control of my
Here's the thing about
emotions.
Locodoco, though, is that he will never be this person. Like, Steve is asking him to... Loco always expresses his emotions physically immediately. So there's actually no world, just because of who he is, that this is going to happen, ever. And... it's just not.
No, mate.
It's unfortunate in this situation, but
when I was doing Listen Local last year, so at this point in time, we're talking like 3 years after this was filmed. He still to this day is like that. Like if he gets mad in an argument, he doesn't just sit there and say, like, I disagree. He goes like, oh
yeah. God, and it's fine. It's very.
Just do it. That's just him sat in a computer chair.
Yeah, but it makes him very entertaining as somebody like on shows. That's one of his strengths, I think. Actually, is like how expressive he is. But there's just no way he's not going to do that in this situation. Or you could train him not to do that. It's never going to happen.
That's not what happened. And here's my advice: is that this is an area where you need to develop. Like, you have a problem with almost like Dardoch. It's kind of funny that way.
By the way, he also just lost that Local 100% when he said that. He goes, it's kind of funny actually. You're kind of like Dardoch, aren't you? You mean the person I actually hate who's ruining my job right now and fucking everything up for me? Like, probably not the best example to give, you know.
Very quickly
on your sleeve. From my point of view, like, I thought he was gonna cry, so no one told me to. I was like, oh shit, he's gonna cry, and like, I don't want it to be like a fucking mess. So I went and got him toilet paper, like, look right behind you, like, I don't want it to like make a mess of himself, and like, I still care, like, so make sure like you're not crying on yourself.
What message does that send, by the way? What message does that send? Like. You think he's going to get upset, so you bring him toilet paper? It's like, here you go, bitch. Here's your toilet paper.
By the way, listen. I'm being considerate now. I don't want you to cry like a little bitch in front of all these men.
Exactly.
So here's some toilet paper. By the way, you're supposed to wipe your ass for that. So I was saying tissue paper is fine. Just in case you need to cry, this is behind you.
Yeah. That's so... That like, even if Loco...
It's like, I get his intention.
Yeah, even if
he
has the
so
best intention, but the message that sends is so messed up.
Okay, in this instance it is. Your intentions are good. Your intentions are great. We don't need to dig into it anymore. All I'm saying is that when we've talked about, it's so funny how like someone...
What is the blocking on this shot, by the way? I'm just looking at the back of Locodoco's head.
I don't know what this camera was. Might be a webcam on one of the PCs.
What is going on? It requires people that care about you, like me, and to give you feedback so that you can develop. And it's not about judging. It's not about... It's literally so that we can work together in a better way. Just think more that your communication is not just what you said. It's how you act,
it's fidgeting. Like that, you know,
As he's literally saying, he goes, it's also how you act and how you fidgeting, and as he said that look was like sorry what's the like give me a break.
That stuff, you know, everything is sending a message. Okay. Just be more thoughtful about what you're communicating, even if you're not talking.
The way they did, like, dardoch tragically died in a crash of the world. I love when they do that.
That's a great edit.
That's great. Following this conversation, dardoch was moved to the challenger team while new talent was given an opportunity to play in the LCS. Fade to next scene.
And so the decision was, you know what? Moon is hungry. He really wants to play in LCS. He's been playing really well in Challenger. Why not give him a shot? Let's see what he has, you know, to offer. A lot of rookies step up, and I have absolutely no problem giving someone that's really hungry, that works really hard, that's proved results.
Sad thing is, if people don't know as well, the guy they bring in now, Moon, had this happen a few times in his career. He always would like either get the starting spot but then get like benched, or he would get brought in and get a chance. And the thing is, from everything I've heard, like when he played solo queue or challenge, everyone says like he's one of those people that everyone says basically in scrims is good and like should have been a quality player, but basically what happens now happened his whole career. It never worked out for him. Yeah. Some people it just never works, you know. Sadly.
Especially when the counterpart to that position is acting more entitled. So for me, it was a pretty easy conclusion that, yes, let's give Moon a shot.
From what I've heard, it's like mainly dardoch. I'm hearing a lot of it is like
also does look a little bit like Cripple. Just a little bit.
Really?
I think he does in the face.
Communication problems. It's never perfect.
I hope one day we can tell the story about what happened with the NRG team, by the way, because some of those anecdotes are fucking wild.
Yeah,
they might be off limits. So that's the problem, you know.
We're not going to talk about that today, but I know what you're talking about.
Sometime when we feel comfortable, I think we should just reveal that, because I've heard some really bonkers stuff about that team.
There's so much with NRG. Oh my god.
I'm Galen Moon Holgate, and I'm the jungler for Team Liquid.
By the way, brilliant sci-fi name, Galen Holgate. That sounds like a sick protagonist in like a sci-fi book from the 70s or something.
Our team chemistry on TLA is amazing. Like, everyone is so funny.
Team Reject.
We're just like all really close. Squad? And it just feels like I fit in perfectly.
It's even solo. Was that solo?
Was it? I don't know what he looks like.
Yeah. They must just have had all the people who like semi-made it no LCS in this team.
I just expect TLA to make LCS. That's what everyone's in it for. If it's any less than that, then it's a disappointment. Since I won't have that much time with the new roster and playing with the main team, for the first few weeks of LCS, it'll mainly just be us gelling, me like figuring out the playstyle, figuring out how to communicate with everybody. But I definitely expect us to be a really strong team going into the split.
The problem with removing dardoch, to me, over removing Piglet, is I don't see what the future of the main Team Liquid team is if you remove dardoch. Like, are you just going to bring him back later when his attitude's been readjusted, that like fucking crazy Orwellian term that people use nowadays? In that scenario, I don't see it happening. Like, I don't see why he would then come back later from another team and suddenly be great and you're going to insert him again. So you are essentially giving up him being on that team. Like, okay, what's the best case scenario? He goes to the Challenger team, wins Challenger, and then you have to sell the team, and therefore he's not on your organization anymore. Or you just bring him back into the main team and you just avoided the problem of resolving him and Piglet for a split. So in that scenario, I think Team Liquid as a team would actually be worse if you removed dardoch entirely and just had Moon play for the whole split. I don't think it would have been as good. What's funny about this whole scenario is, I really wonder if after all of this, both of these players, and locodoco as well, really can't look at it and in hindsight realize, oh, actually, we kind of really need that dardoch guy as the jungler. Probably is a better investment of our time and effort than trying to find someone else who can play that role. To me, it's like rather than try and fix one problem, you try to fix multiple problems at once and in different directions. It's not really a way to look at it, and like there's no real reason on paper as to why that would work to me.
The dreaded TSM.
We have a two-time defending champion, three
Back
new
when
teams,
Dash was
a new
good.
best-of-3 format, and an all-new battle theme.
Don't hear me.
Fight for Worlds is on.
Pre-Lucian.
North American LCS
Actually, this
Summer
was
Split.
This is post-Lucian.
Post-Lucian.
This is...
PL.
Yep.
On stage, the biggest tools you guys have is each other, and the communication needs to be fucking strong, okay? We're a new team, in a sense, because we have a new jungler, and jungle is a huge fucking part of how we play the game, and so the information flow has to be there, okay? I want everyone to fucking talk. I know we play really well in LCS, and I know we're in a fucking rocket.
Spoiler, they didn't rock it.
We're continuing our day of action with newcomers Team Envy taking on Team Liquid. Now Liquid is coming into this summer split after
Isn't this just after they bought
we know
Renegade?
these guys expected more, and they'll be coming into this summer ready to play.
Piglet and Phoenix, they had a great split last split. They were top performers. And Liquid, they're going to be looking to have those two veterans bring the consistency from last split. But something that won't be consistent is going to be the jungler. You know, there's a big question surrounding Liquid, how they are going to adapt losing dardoch. That guy was such a big part of their resurgence last split. Him and Matt together were a shot-calling combo, but he's not with the squad now. Stepping in as Liquid jungler is going to be Moon, who actually struggled to find success last split on energy, but this team seems confident that Moon has improved.
Yeah, he does have at least 2 games to impress, so we'll see if he will be able to show us that. He's going to get onto this inhibitor. Lurlo has the convergence drop. Moon pulls the trigger. He gets into the back. Seraph in the front. It's Piglet trying to shred through. Moon goes low. He's finally going to drop the procs, and 5v4 are facing loss. If they turn this around, they can't do it. And it's
I remember that thing. Proxin. Fucking... That Envy lineup was bad.
Proxin wasn't in the Envy lineup.
That's what they just said.
No. It was...
Oh, Prox in. Right.
Yeah,
Prox.
So the Envy lineup was the final Renegades lineup, but with Laud in.
Oh, right.
So
yeah,
it's Hakuho,
like ADC or whatever.
Hakuho, Ninja, Seraph. Yep.
Right, okay.
Game number 1. And they found Piglet. He's dead too. They might just try to end the game right here. Moon gets caught and drops the rest, but Envy are
Oh, no, you're right. It was
satisfied
Proxin in the jungle. This was before they had Lyra.
Right, yes. Okay.
Just the inhib. They want the Nexus.
And they do claim their second series victory here. Undefeated.
We're a really, really fucking good team last split because we put in so much effort and we worked together as a unit. Like that's what made us good. So today what I want to see is I want to see everyone just doing their fucking job. We gave each other individual roles so we can rely on people to do their job and work together as a unit. And that's what I want to see. And I want to see people doing their job. And if someone's not doing their job, I don't want to hear blame. I want to hear people saying, yo, it's fine, you can still do this. And I want us to work as a team.
Sweep 1, Matt's going to be said.
I like the way, by the way, I'm fucking young to be on quite a beard there, but I like the way every speech Loco gives. In isolation seems fine, but it has no effect on what happens in the game. Like, they just ignore it, they delete exactly what he said 2 seconds later and just go out anyway.
No, I mean, when you already have all
Just
that trust
generic
broken,
speeches,
then it doesn't do anything, right?
Down a little bit, missing that leader in the jungle, and Liquid seems uncoordinated currently. But they're not in the right place. Piglet, he commented before the split that he would never beat a Korean team with foreign teammates, and that's a bad mentality to have.
Imagine saying that in an interview. Why even say that when
Wow.
you actually are in the part of your career when you're only going to be playing with a foreign teammate? Yeah, the thing is, well, I don't think I'll ever beat a Korean team. Yeah, can I get an extension of my contract?
All NA players are shitters.
The bubble is low. He's going to either choose to heal or bubble on this. Biofrost is low. The kill from Piglet goes over to double it for first blood. And Biofrost flashes in this instant, thinking he could save himself. Down, teleports down.
Wait, Moon's walking up.
Why would Moon walk up?
He doesn't think Bjergsen has the damage at that point.
With the back line right now, Phoenix looks like he gets taken down, scrambled up once again. Lorlo tries to stay on the front line.
I love it when they have to
mitigate some
cast
of that
these
damage
fights
with
at the end of the game like this, as though there was, like, look at every detail, the kills, the gold, the items. Like, there's no universe where this is a competitive fight that could ever be won.
They don't do this as much anymore.
Yeah,
but
they've
at the
learned
time,
nowadays.
like, this was
It was bad, wasn't
NA
it?
casting is terrible.
because they used to have to pretend like this fight could still be turned, basically.
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
look, Bjergsen now.
It's just insulting to the viewer.
Right.
It's just insulting to the viewer.
We can't see his score, but Bjergsen is playing Rise with a fucking Guardian Angel or something. Like, he's tanking the whole tower.
He's 2 levels
it's
up.
It's probably
Phoenix,
impossible
like,
to lose this game,
yeah.
like, almost at any context in it.
His ultimate, but it's not going to be enough. TSM will look to take game 1 of the series over Team Liquid.
I think why we're losing is Moon's fault, primarily. Could he be playing better? Of course. Is it his fault solely alone? No.
This is how next level this guy is, right? All of you out there, because you're just on like level 1 of being an arsehole, you think what he should have done is say like, oh, it's all that Moon's fault, you should put me back in. No, this guy's so next level, he knows this guy's fucking up anyway, I'm going to be back in. So why don't I use this opportunity to dunk even more on my other team? It's like, tell you what, I don't blame this Moon guy, you have to be a fucking good player to get this team away. That's almost like what he's doing.
It's also, he learned no lesson from this too, because he's like, well, you know, we're just losing, so when they put me back in, we'll do better, and it's going to be fine.
Also, inadvertently, if you have a jungler called Moon, it's a bit weird to be wearing that Pink Floyd t-shirt that says the dark side of the moon. That's like some sort of weird...
some meta commentary.
What is that? What a weird synchronicity that.
Himself, and unfortunately Moon did not prove himself. You know, can Moon improve? Can he kind of get out of this? Of course, but in sports you don't have the luxury of time. It was a large, intense, consultative mediation process that the organization invested into improving Dardoch, and he was responsive to that. So at that point we said, look, let's get Josh back in there and let's see what this guy's got to,
What did you do?
Push Liquid to the brink, so Liquid are now making adjustments.
Are you ready?
They will
I think I'll comment on it in a second, but think how mad this is.
Will this change Liquid's
They only had 2 games. They literally benched him for 2 games, lost both the games, by the way, in embarrassing fashion. And then we're like, I think he's learned his lesson. I think
Well,
it's
also,
like,
I just like how Steve's like, and we did a lot, and it doesn't describe what they did whatsoever.
They didn't do anything, did they?
They didn't do
They
anything.
were just like,
no,
well, he's had time to
obviously.
think about it. He's learned his
He sat
lesson.
in the corner.
You know, like when you're a little kid and they do that thing famously in school where they're like, what did you do? And you're like, I did the wrong thing. And they go, what are you going to do next time? Listen to you and be a good boy. Yeah, you're right. Now you can go back. But you obviously just said it. You just learned to literally say whatever they need you to say. Don't you just get back in.
That seems a little bit like desperation there if they're subbing him in, even though they had suspended him.
He's back in the crowd again.
Also, that's a good point. They subbed him in even though they had suspended him. They didn't even punish him.
Oh, you're right.
The time. So what the fuck?
What
does he learn from that? Look at his stupid smile.
They bring him back. He's like, this is great. I'm loving this. I'm back.
This is the face of toxicity.
Yeah, I've learned a lot of... I know exactly. Does this look like the face of a man who's reformed? I just asked you that question.
Your Honor, does this look like the expression of a reformed man?
Oh yeah, after the Korean thing where I was implicated back in the team because they would have gotten relegated without me. They made me promise to like...
All right.
Wow.
Do everything. Like, we had agreements. Like, there's things Loco wanted to see from me, I wanted to see from him. We played nice, and then we went back to normal, pretty much.
They want any chance, but so is Hotzer.
We're fine. We can do this. Go Rek'Sai, go Rek'Sai. Well, gonna come through. Go on Lucian, actually. Go on Lucian, I'm Lucian. Yeah, we're good. We can win this. On a zero.
Why do nice guys always finish last? Why do chicks like assholes, man? Like, that's the lesson he's been taught. Like, because you know, when they brought Moon in, right, they were talking all that good shit about like, oh, I think it's just time to have a chance. You know, we better work with Dardoch. And then as soon as they lose their 2 games, they were like, the thing in sports is you haven't got time to adjust to things. Like, what? You just completely counted everything you just said. You didn't even kick it.
We have Victor. We can go. Nice. Keep going.
Okay,
you guys gotta calm the fuck down.
Yeah, that was a lot.
You guys gotta calm the fuck down and comms, okay? Stop fucking screaming and just handle the game slowly, okay?
Let me just add all these unnecessary curse words to my directions to make things weird and take up more time. That's one of the things I taught my players was don't curse in comms because you're just adding stupid extra words that don't mean anything and aren't helpful.
Don't be frantic about it, okay? It's not the end of the world. if one of us talks. Coming.
I think Bard might be there before me because he has portal.
Phoenix with the flash this time.
Careful,
Remember,
portal.
he just used
Juan is here.
Nice.
About to meet. I'm going to meet.
No, I need help.
I'm going down. Okay,
Ulting.
Kill Rek'Sai, just kill Rek'Sai. Turret. I'm here. Oh, fuck. 80 flash. Lucian. My bad. Fuck, we should have killed Turret. My bad.
And now puts them down in the ground. Lorlo will be the next one. Biofrost trying to get on the other side of the mini.
All right, fight of a lifetime, baby.
Life anymore. They're still going strong. They're still going with smiles on their faces, and they're going on to the Nexus. TSM will be 2-0 in the first week of the NALCS.
I think people thought there were easy solutions. People thought, oh, if we just take dardoch out for a little while and bench him, that'll teach him a lesson, and he'll really see how when we bring in this other jungler, we work better as, oh shit, yeah, we're way worse with that guy. Please, dardoch, come back. So then that has accomplished nothing.
We'll be seeing Liquid in action in our first series, and we have to talk about dardoch returning to the lineup here and what that means for Liquid.
Well, I love the storyline behind all this. You got a bad boy jungler who's really talented, but gets benched from Attitude, and then he has to get brought back just from his sheer skill, and now he has to make sure that he can bring the team together back and make these guys work. And to be honest, in that last game that they played last week, it looked like the entire team and not him was shaking.
We benched Moon back to the TLA to bring dardoch back to carry our team.
They know he can't stop.
Why do they say it like that trope of movies where he's in like the log cabin, like, dardoch, we need you back. I know things didn't work out. We've got to do one last job. Like, why do they make it sound like that?
He's like on his farm somewhere chopping wood on a stump, and they're like,
I told you I'll never play with locodoco again.
Dardoch just looks over his shoulder, and the car's driving up slowly, and the guy just exits it.
Dardoch's like, never thought I'd see you again. He goes, never thought I'd be here. Things changed. You know?
we should just write shitty esports movies.
We win. We'll do a skit. So I'll write all these down.
Noah's ultimate is already down a little bit.
Here we go. Dardoch's in. Flash on bar is good. Lolo dives in under the turret. And it's first blood to Aurelia. They're under the turret, but dardoch, more than enough health.
He was probably thinking, all right, I can carry this team. I can lead this team.
Ulti's the way back in. Afro forced to flash out. Nexus turret number 2 does melt. The Nexus will fall on Team Liquid. A convincing game number 1.
And as things were falling apart, he couldn't control his emotions, and he had really bad comms where he was giving up really early. He was saying, oh, we fucking lost. We can't win this game. What the fuck? Oh, what are we doing?
Just fucking do Baron or some shit, dude. I want to go to the next game already. This shit is so fucking pointless. What the hell? I just want to play the next one.
And that was like the final nail in the coffin. I think Piglet told me, real talk, that some of his bad SKT days, there was teammates of his saying that kind of stuff, and that's why he wanted to leave that team. And he didn't want to hear it anymore. And when it's a game day, no matter what, we should be playing to win, no matter what circumstances, and you shouldn't be giving up.
Oh, fucking sauce, dude. I'm hitting Sway, dude. Alright, we're fucking all done.
That was like the real tipping point for Piglet, I'd imagine, because I mean, I was feeling pretty tilted off that, how dardoch on LCS stage was saying, okay, we'll just fucking give up. I was like, what? Why would you say let's give up on LCS stage? And then Piglet probably tilted the hell out of, like, just off the face of the earth.
Just try and fucking take their KDAs or some shit, dude.
Take their KDAs.
Get in there, Samson.
This is my Maokai KDA.
Bye, Piggy.
Pause that. I always say, right, there's an example of a totally indefensible thing. Where in a real live game where you're already getting shit on, by the way, like this is the equivalent of garbage time where like, you can't win the game.
Yeah, 20-3.
Like, I don't use the phrase toxic very often, but about one of the worst things you could say to a teammate would just be like, haha, bye Piggy, as he's getting killed in the game. Man alive. Like, what does that add to anything?
Nothing. And also saying like, oh, we'll just kill them for their KDA. It's like, this is another thing that when I was coaching, I would literally say, hey guys, if you're losing, extend the game. And here's why. You don't care about your KDAs, right? But what you can do is you can have productive conversations about the next game in this series at this point in time. You could talk about the next draft that you're going to do. Well, at this point, you could have coaches for draft, but at the time, coaches couldn't be on stage for draft. I was like, talk about how you're going to fix things next game and the strategy and what did and didn't work. could be effective time for you. So even if you're going to like drag out the game and lose worse, at least you get more time to talk about the next game than the opposing team that's trying to figure out how not to throw and how to just make sure they can close it out. Plus, you never know what's going to happen. They could have some epic throw. You know, it's a 1% chance, but it's important.
He gave up in Piglet's side, and Piglet viewed that as very, very disrespectful towards him and the rest of the team. So he, like, I think that's when, like, trigger flipped, and he was like, oh, I'm no longer willing to work with dardoch.
Can they end yet, or what? God damn. Yeah, this one's a bit over, boys. Do we get it over with, or do you guys want to keep playing?
Just let them get...
Let them in? Okay, just keep pushing.
When Piglet was playing on the main team, the conflict between Piglet and Josh was pretty high.
We decided to move Piglet down to TLA and move Fabi up to the main team.
It was a mixture of Piglet wanting a week break.
He's never had stage experience, so we wanted to give that to him because he asked for it.
We had a pretty easy week, so we were just like, all right, just throw Fabi in.
He had been working really hard, honestly, on TLA, and we thought he deserved the chance. And situationally, with Piglet feeling a little burnt out, we wanted to give him kind of like a mental break.
dardoch and Piglet really didn't get along too well.
I don't know who we heard that from. Piglet, we had issues on the team like always, and Piglet wanted a break, so we gave him a week to play on TLA.
They didn't agree on whether or not the game should be played around like top or bottom. dardoch thought it was like a top-centric meta at the time, and Piglet thought it was a bot-centric meta. And then they couldn't ever like reach an agreement.
Josh, it's never a top-centric meta. That's the way you resolve that one, isn't it?
Well,
you don't need to debate
players don't understand this, dude. This is why it's so frustrating to be a coach like on these NA teams, because you just know you're going to end up with some weak players. So even in an ideal scenario, you just can't play the game the way it's supposed to be played because you got some shitter on your team that will never be able to play it that way. So you just have to find alternatives.
Would do something that would anger Piglet, and then Piglet would do something that would anger Josh, and it got to the point where we would try to work on the issue. We would try to resolve
Whoever
it,
designs
talk
the
through
team
it.
jerseys, by the way, has leveled their shit up big time. This was a terrible one.
Yeah, that's
this looks garbage, doesn't it?
I like their white jackets that they have.
They're pretty cool now.
Yeah,
I like
the white jackets.
That
they
looks pretty good. I agree.
Have them express themselves, you know, and it just wasn't working. They just kept butting heads over and over and over and over.
TLA did have much more of a team cohesiveness, and I think Piglet saw that from the outside and said, well, I want to check that out. And Fabi wanting stage experience kind of worked out in that sense.
그거는 전혀 아니고 그냥 제가 너무 쉬고 싶어서 좀 너무 힘들어가지고 좀 그냥 쉬고 싶어서 그렇게 했던 거고 그리고 좀 제가 없을 때 좀 느끼는 게 좀 있었으면 좋겠다라고 생각해요.
Oh, he learned from dardoch.
Yeah.
He learned this from dardoch.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
They set a precedent. Oh my god.
He literally did by the way, this is a sign of mad immaturity when you're like that. Like, they'll all miss me when I'm gone, and then they will see why I was so valuable. Are you a little kid or something? No. Like, actually, there's also scenarios. In this case, he's right, because they're promoting fucking Fabi of all people. Like, it's not even like an actual pro player. So this was always going to work out. But like in an actual sane world, if you are an arsehole like some of these guys, they won't miss you when you're gone. Like, actually, I'll give you a very quick anecdote. This happened most famously in CSGO in one of Simple's first teams. Simple's now the best player in the world. Even back then, he was like one of the most skilled rookies we ever had. He was in a team called Flipside, which was like the third or second best CIS team at the time. And they weren't a good team. Like, you know, they weren't even vaguely top 10. Like, he was basically the best thing about the team. But when they kicked him out of the team, right, they did interviews where they just said, we actually prefer the team without him. And at the time, every fan was like, idiots, like, he's way better than you. And obviously, he was way better. But I actually totally understand what they mean.
Yes.
They literally essentially, by the way, that's the sign that you're a massive arsehole. When essentially people say, we'd rather just lose but with someone cool than play with you and have a chance to win. That's in a video game, that's a pretty big indictment.
Well, I think the other thing that's super funny about this too is that by alternating when they benched these guys or when these guys took breaks, they never actually fixed the problem.
Exactly.
Because you're teaching, here are the lessons you're actually teaching dardoch and Piglet right now, is that one of them is going to win, so it keeps like by win I mean win being on the main roster.
Yeah.
So by alternating those like sort of suspensions or benching, you're not teaching them that they have to figure out a way to actually work together. Which is why when Cloud9 decided to bench their players, like they benched almost everybody at the same time, like all the veterans into the academy team. And because it's like, oh, you guys, you have to teach a message that you guys are living and dying together, because otherwise the conflict will always and forever exist within these players or between these two players.
It's like, I don't know if I actually say it in this documentary, but at the time, one of the reasons I made that point that it's like this scenario. I always give this an analogy that I remember hearing in like a Jordan Peterson talk, where he said the whole reason why if you argue with your wife, you don't want to win the argument is because you have to be with your wife for a long time. So what you have to do basically is think, right, my long-term strategy is to be with this person. Therefore, every short-term strategy has to build into a world where I end where I want to be. Right. So in this scenario, the long-term strategy obviously should be, however we arrive there, we need to have a team with both Piglet and dardoch in, because they're just so good as players. Like, my analogy I gave was like, I don't know if they do think back like this, but this is like Kobe Shaq level stuff where it's like, while you're together, you're just going to think, oh, these problems are bullshit, like get rid of that guy. But one day you're going to play a couple of years with someone way worse at that position and think, why couldn't I have just worked out like this? Because that scenario, doing the out with the game stuff seems easier than fixing a problem where the guy in the game's worse. This is what they didn't get in this team, unfortunately. Yeah. Like, they really both thought if the other guy's kicked out, it'll be great.
Yes.
It's worse. Now it's just you and 4 people you're carrying. That even should have been, by the way, what they bonded over. That we're the characters of the team. That should have been how they got through it, you know.
Or they should have sat them down and been like, literally the org should have been like, look, you guys are our most valuable players, but you have to play together in order for us to be at our best. You guys need to work this shit out. Like.
그래도 느끼는 게 있으면은 잘해줄 수 있으니까 저랑 다시. 근데 그 느끼는 게 없으면은 좀 힘들겠다라고 생각은 했어요.
Instead of running 2 teams that were kind of helping each other and that you can move the roster back and forth, I was running 2 completely different teams. And they weren't helping each other. They were actually competing with one another. And I had to make each team as good as possible. The other 4 players that were on Team Liquid Academy really wanted to play with Piglet. And on the other hand, we had a lot of issues between Piglet and dardoch on the main team.
Good.
Okay, well, what if Piglet were to play for Team Liquid Academy? How would he feel?
Smile, like, this is great. I love this guy now. Join an academy, bitch. What now?
So we spent 3 or 4 days and we had Piglet playing with the team, and he loved it. Like, he was just elated. He was like communicating more. The other 4 players loved him. He was super happy. His mood
Why are they
went
setting
up.
these narratives up though? Like, why are you happy that you're paying one of the highest paid players to play in your fucking academy team because he can't get on with anyone else? And then they were happy to have like a player way better than he should be in academy on their team.
No, it's like and we got Derek Jeter, and then we put him on our farm team, and all the players loved him. Yeah, he's just the best shortstop in AAA baseball, and everybody's so thrilled to play. Of course, they're happy to play with him. You idiots! Like, what is this story?
Was just enjoying life. Like, you could just tell in his behavior. I would ask him, hey Piglet, how's things are going? He's like, they're amazing. I love it here. I love playing for this team. Like, teammates just look up to me, and we're winning, and this is just fun. And I want to go back to what's being fun. The alternative was, okay, well then why don't we move Fabi up to play for LCS? And leading into that decision, Fabi was just decimating in NACS. Like, if you go back and watch the matches in NACS where Fabi was playing before we did the switch, his KDAs and how he was carrying the game was just unreal.
It's season
so it was kind of
6
like, well, we're still getting a really damn good AD carry for
this. Like, yeah, I'm sure the talent pool at AD carry / bot lane in NA Academy in season 6 was straight fire. Give me a break.
CS team, and Piglet's enjoying the NACS team. So it was a logical choice. We were able to combat the conflict between dardoch and Piglet. Piglet was happy. The main team was happy because
I will say that.
Come on, CV's like, and that's how we didn't solve the problem.
And that's how we all lived happily after ever with none of our problems solved, by the way. We literally, in Team Liquid, our approach to fixing and solving problems involves literally putting people in other rooms, not even in the same room together. Like, that's just our
Steve's
problem.
like, nailed it.
Also, I will say, by the way, You know what? When I first watched this, I thought like a lot of you, what an arsehole that dardoch guy is, like Piglet, ego's completely out of control. I will say, can be easy to argue with locodoco and get annoyed by him. You know, he sometimes rubs you the wrong way. I relate to them a little bit, I can't lie.
Playing really well, and his trajectory was way up. So at the time, it seemed like, yeah, that's the logical solution, let's go with that.
Right now, if he wasn't overheated, we kill him all.
You know that saying? Behind every good LCS mid laner is golden glue. Because he's always waiting for that starting spot, isn't he? Killing it in academy. Killing it in academy.
Well, here's my question. At no point in time, why didn't they get like a relationship counselor to like sit in a room with Piglet and dardoch? Because it seems like the next logical step is like, perhaps we're not qualified to solve this issue, so we should hire a professional?
This actually is a rare example, by the way, where I do think that people in the vein of a Weldon Green could actually do something. Because some of their skills are like communication and how do people relate to each other. Like that sort of a figure brought in. Because you can see all the coaching staff here has none of that skill set. Like, they don't even know what's going on in that regard.
So when I worked with Fabi on TLA, he had a lot of motivation, he had a lot of drive, and he was actually a really good player. And I thought he would do decently well, and I thought at first he did do decently well.
Ask questions and talk to your teammates, okay? Don't assume stuff, and if you're not getting something done, talk to each other. Yo guys, we need to come here. Yo guys, what do we want to do? Yo guys, what lane setup we need to be? Like, if you're not in sync, it's because you guys...
Like in Challenger, I was like, either I carry or we lose. But like now it's like, I'm not gonna carry, but I'm gonna make sure Phoenix carries or Sam carries or even dardoch carries. Like I'll make sure they carry. I'm playing, you know, utility style where I play to help my teammates rather than I play for my own, like, you know, sake. I'm not gonna be farming bot all game, trying to scale up. I'm gonna be grouping up more, looking for picks with my teammates, moving around the map with them, giving up farm for that. And that's like sort of my style right now.
Story coming out of Liquid tonight has to be the substitution of Liquid Academy player Fabi in for Piglet at AD carry.
Not yourself, or somebody else. He heals them, but he's gonna need something more.
Furion, he's knocked out from the turret, flashes over the wall, takes a lot, and Fabi gets the kill. Gate gets knocked
Imagine
up,
literally
and
at that moment in time, right, pausing the game and telling people, by the way, in a couple of years, Pyrion replaces Faker and SKT because they actually subbed him in for like, that part of that split like 2 years ago. So it was like one of the most surreal things I've ever seen in my life.
Destroyed. Team Liquid are going to break the base and try to end this game, taking a quick 2-0 over Phoenix. What?
Problem is that was when Phoenix won the shit. That was where they didn't less in the team yet.
Yeah. And also energy was terrible.
Again, Pop's guilty and runs north of Phoenix over the wall.
They want this fight actually. Kiwi Kid, look. Your boy Kiwi Kid is playing Brown support.
It's going to be him zoning out OQ, who's actually surviving reasonably well, has a Hexbreaker. But look at Kiwi Kid, he's already going to be going down. And the egg pop, it's 2 kills, it's 3 kills, it's Liquid killing absolutely everybody. And 2 more autos will do it. That will be the game, that will be the series. Liquid improved to 3-3.
Get ready for respin it. Like, oh, look, much better in that game. It was all great. So you're playing the shit teams. Come on, give me a break.
Context is irrelevant.
In the front, Phoenix hops in, but the Nexus is already dead. And Team Liquid 2-0 Apex. Takes him out, the ult is close, Pomelter flashes in and gets on with the Chaos Storm, and now Phoenix, and in blisteringly fast fashion, Immortals claim a 2-0 over Team Liquid.
Turtle gonna casual triple.
Alright. dardoch gets himself a kill, sneaking in to get plowed down as well. Impact not enough to try and take this down. Team Liquid is going to charge forward and take down the Nexus. Cloud9 will finally fall as Team Liquid topple a giant to take the series.
Yeah, and C9 was looking so good last week.
It felt normal. It felt real.
Lola wants it. Sending United Q to try and save him, but Lola's still there with the damage. Might just get it. He's it all. dardoch actually clean.
Normal. Not real.
I don't know what the question was.
Non-sequitur was that? Alright.
Up the back end now,
I'm not nervous at all. I feel a lot better about the game. Well, just being on stage.
Still gotta work on my play.
Will be a kill picked up. First blood goes over to Fabi. And
They
the
surely
only
beat
recourse to the fact that KFO
It's when they have the bad echo box.
Raid arrow goes to OQ. That gives them time to take down the AD carry. Just to hold off Liquid. The 2-0.
This is the montage section. Racking up wins. 9 and 7.
But then, like, the transition into
Playoffs?
LCS, like, I started seeing where my weaknesses lie. I didn't have any game knowledge. I'm learning more and more every week, though. I'm making my own calls, communicating with my team. Like, I've only been, like, in the LCS for 5 weeks, so there's still so much improvement to be done. But it's definitely looking better right now rather than worse.
When I first talked to Piglet, it was like, I love playing on TLA.
This is the
I actually feel like I have
this
a
is
voice.
one of the
Like,
weirdest
feels
whole
like
segments I've ever seen, where they come in and it's literally like he's like an 8-year-old kid who won't get out of bed in the morning or something, and they say, "Oh, come on, Pete, look at me when I'm talking." He's just like rolling around his bed, like, "No, I want to go swing set." And like, it's so mad, this whole thing. You wouldn't believe this was like an adult, a world champion.
I got a story after this about CLG. Anyway, continue.
They respect me and care about me, and they want to play with me. And he started getting kind of like, I'm not really feeling this as much anymore. And so when I had my one-on-one with Piglet, it addressed that. You know, the gist of it was, Piglet, like, you're having a lot of issues with, like, communication. There must have been something that happened between weeks 4 and week 7, obviously, that made him just go from, I love this team, to, I just want to retire.
Wait a minute. I mean, pause this a second. So now he's even having problems on the academy team, and he thinks everything's right. Well, he was doing great until week 4. Like, wait, did he only go down in like week 3 or something? What are you talking about? Why do they make the narrative so ridiculous? Like, they gave a whole 5-minute or 10-minute section about how brilliant it is in academy.
Yes.
And then he's the asshole
like
again.
1 week later.
That's why I said this really is the story between Loco, Piglet, and Dardoch of 3 people just going around going, why do things always get fucked up in all the teams I'm in? And then just thinking that that's like a legitimate rhetorical question. Like,
I also love the fact that they're like, how should we have this a serious conversation with Piglet? Should we let him stay in bed while we have
the minimum you would do is like you'd make them get up, come out here with like an office or coffee shop.
Yes,
or something.
exactly.
He's just lying in bed.
It's just like, yeah, this is how we have a serious conversation in this team. Professional organization. Go.
You're really good.
I'm good.
I know. So why not be a good player and a good leader? Right?
No, I'm not leader.
I think you're a leader. I think you have what it takes. You're older than everyone on the team. Do you know that?
I'm just I'm just player. Yeah.
So I just addressed it as humanly as possible, and I just like this team like constantly makes sacrifices for you. If you're going to play on TLA, you have to understand, I don't think they're necessarily doing anything wrong with like the identity of like incorporating you into the team. You know, they didn't necessarily choose you to play with them because they had Fabi. You came into TLA and we made that accommodation for you, and we talked to the TLA members of that, and they decided to make their sacrifice knowing who you were as a player, but also just knowing who you were as a person. They wanted to play with you and they wanted to give you the environment that they thought you deserved.
And I know you're a good-ass player, right? Like one of the best, if not the best AD carry in the world, right?
Well, I don't listen. There's no need to lie to him. Come on, man. In the world, this is season 6.
Can we discuss how weird this entire circumstance is? So they're like, think about the thought process that has to go into this entire situation. Nick Fan is like, all right, I'm going to go into this room and talk to him and not demand that he get out of bed. And Piglet's like, okay, I'm going to sit here and roll around in bed having this conversation. And then all parties involved agree that there's going to be a camera in this room and that this is an acceptable thing to record. I mean, if I'm the camera guy here, if I'm Damien and Michael Artress, David Estrada and Michael Artress who made this, I'm loving every second of this. You're like, really? You want me to film
By the way,
this?
one thing I would actually love to know that I've never heard anyone ever comment on. I wonder what Koreans think who watched this. Because the idea that on camera you would ever do some of the things Piglets do is mental.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say about CLG is I had, sadly, we didn't tape it, a very similar experience in CLG to this. When they came to boot camp, I realized how dire things had gotten within the team because I would go and we'd have a meeting scheduled or we'd have scrim scheduled, and I would go to their boot camp house and I would walk in the door, and everyone would be sitting there, and like Link wouldn't be there, and so I'd have to go knock on Link's door, like his dad would be like, "Hey Link, we need to get up and have a team conversation." And like I'd open the door and he would be sitting there on his laptop and he would just stare at me saying nothing. And I'd be like, "Can you please come out so we can have a team conversation?" Like, what is this environment? It's just so crazy. But yeah, similar situation where it's just like, esports is so sad that players just won't even get the fuck out of bed.
That's also why the wild thing in esports is that the average player age of the pros is so young. Because in real sports, when they started to get the real money, well, it was like actual adults though. So you can have someone who's reasonable, you can have someone who's an egomaniac, but then the other people offset it, If everyone's as young as this, it is crazy how much people get paid. And then again, it just shows how money doesn't always actually change your behaviour. Like, they still act as though they're playing for $100.
Well, the crazy thing about that whole CLG thing too is I think that, because this was before there was a stipend for coaches, or coaches could be on stage, right? So not every team even had a coach. I think CLG... And this is not, I'm not complaining here, this isn't a reflection, but it was like, they were paying me something like 10 grand a year to be their coach. And like, at that point in time, into the boot camp, I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, I didn't sign up for this bullshit. Like, come on. Like, I'm still trying here, and I get paid shit. All right, let's go.
Can you be the best teammate in the world? I think you can, but you have to make the sacrifice needed for that.
Shit.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of it's attitude, right?
What is going on right now?
So a lot of it's attitude, right? And he's like, everyone is like, this is a fine conversation to be having. You're literally talking about his attitude, and you're just letting him do this.
He's literally just like spiraling on the fucking bed. Just I don't want to be in Team Liquid Academy at 1 minute. I know. So not to it.
Right? Do you think a lot of it comes down to attitude?
Yeah.
Okay.
If they bad, I don't care. Like, if they attitude good, I don't care. Even they like fucking bad team, even if they like just like challenge the team, and if they like just like shitty team, I don't care.
I love that as well. There's another example of where what someone says betrays the way they think. The way he goes, I don't even care if they're just a challenger teammates. Like, they're all challenger teammates, Piglet. Like, you're actually on a challenger team right now. Like, do you even know how bad this is for you? And then you're like, you know what? I'm actually a good guy. Like, I'm quite magnanimous. I don't care if they're shit, if they're just fucking challenger players.
As long as they have a good attitude. He said while he mopes in bed, rolling around during an actual conversation with a manager on his team.
See, he says this. He goes like, about how he doesn't care about all that stuff. Like, there's another thing. People like dardoch, people like Piglet, they always say, like, I don't even care what they think or say. It's like, you people care more than anyone in the whole fucking world what people think. Like, if you just feel disrespected, you just...
Imagine this conversation going on sports. It's like, Bill Belichick comes in and, like, Tom Brady's like rolling around. And Bill's like, oh, come on, Tommy, you gotta get out there and play with your team. Like, what the fuck is this?
And if attitude good, if attitude bad, like, I care so much, like, my feeling so bad, cause like, just I only care attitude. So yeah, I don't.
Right.
I'm like roster, right?
Mm-hmm.
After that, and then they just like change something, so I can't like fucking fix them.
Okay. You need to be able to talk, right? If you're upset, you still need to be able to communicate with things. Otherwise, he doesn't know what to do.
Like, if I'm upset, like, if I talk more, like, I'm just more, I get more angry, and more get upset, and that's just boom.
No excuses, no excuses.
No,
I just want you to promise me. Can you be strong?
No,
it's gonna be hard.
It's so hard. So I try, but I like not 100%.
Okay, I want you to sit up and look at me, okay?
Okay,
no, I want you. No whining.
At what point are you just fired from your job? Like I'm not going to do that thing that people are ready to do.
This guy is
got to be a limit.
This guy is getting paid like God knows how much money to be on this team, and like how.
Because if you remember, the year before this, when they still had Dominate and all those people, is when they had that famous story where they benched him and they had to bring Keith McBreath in, if you remember. And then the story was that they even got like Piglet's own mother to like call him up and be like, well, I'm very disappointed in you, son. I'm like, this guy's just out of control. Like, here's the thing, right? It's like I said before, the one who actually comes off looking the worst is Piglet, I think.
Yes, but it's also the org, because at a certain point, like, how much can you blame Piglet's behavior when they are literally pandering to it at every possible opportunity and they're putting him in a situation where he just gets babied and avoids his problems. Like, a lot of this is on Team Liquid as well, in my opinion.
Okay, sit up. Sit up. Why don't you sit up and look at me?
Can you even imagine Faker and them just watching this like, right, well, I'm glad he's fucking gone. Look what he says here. Look what he actually says. Look what the line is.
Such a monkey.
The monkey?
Sit up.
Bit edgy, alright.
Talk to me.
Sit up and talk
You know, you guys should, send him, you know?
Sit up and talk to me.
He said me monkey.
Cute monkey. Okay.
You guys think I'm monkey? Or maybe.
Okay, sit up and talk to me.
Oh, I don't want to see it. If I see it, like,
just remember when you watch this the whole time, guys, he is probably being paid like $200,000 to
at
do
least.
this shit.
Like that, I think that's a low amount.
More, yeah.
I think that's a low amount. I would probably
just
say he's
roll
like,
around in a bed.
I think he's
like, will
probably...
you just sit up, Piglet? So go, I don't want to roll with that. And at the end of the month invoice, can I have my $15,000 please?
He actually was probably, because he was a huge acquisition.
He was one of the biggest acquisitions.
He probably was getting, at this time period, if I had to guess, he's probably getting paid $300,000 or $400,000. And, like, obviously players get paid in the millions now. But, yeah, I think at this time he's probably getting paid somewhere, I would say, $300,000 to $500,000. And he's just rolling around in bed.
I need you to sit so you can promise.
And so our conversation.
This is some little kid shit. I need you to promise me now, Piglet. What are you doing? When you pay someone that much money, you should
I'm gonna call your mommy.
And I think you were there too, until he kind of realized and agreed, yeah, I should give it another chance and I should make more sacrifices for a team that's constantly been accommodating me and sacrificing for me.
You work and fix team attitude and atmosphere. Promise me that you will work on your attitude.
But sometimes I'm getting upset.
I know.
Maybe not sometimes, like...
Maybe a lot of times.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I know.
A lot of times.
I know. I know, but can you promise that you will work on it?
Yeah, I try, like, okay, I can try it. Okay. Yeah, I try change my attitude and that. Like, but I just get upset too much. Like,
right.
So...
What do you mean right? What do you mean right?
You
just goes like, yeah, I will try and change my attitude, but sometimes you get too upset. Like, yeah, right. No, he just said the opposite.
No, that's part of being an adult, is you control your emotions.
Oh my god, look at this line. These lines out of context are so bad. Like,
that's why I brought you two bottles of
we know you get upset. That's why we bought you that famous brand Korean soju.
So they've literally
alcohol is the soju.
Just think about this situation. His employer is buying him soju to try and control him. Like, first off, is that even legal? Let's just ask that question. Like, it's like, hi, Piglet. We bought you your favorite Piglet snack. It's alcohol. What is this? Also, at what point do you just say, like, fuck it, this guy's not worth it? This is the time where you have this conversation where you're like, so, Piglet, you're on our academy scene. We're paying you $500,000 a year. You still have attitude issues, so, like, fix it or we fire you. How about that? Like, why are you babying him?
That's why we bought you so many bottles of chanmisu.
I should do it today.
Alright, take it easy though, okay? Alright. Do you promise though? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, I promise I will work with you too. Okay?
Why did they even put that weird falsetto? Go back to that. Like, by the way, Damien, whoever did that is pure banter. Weird falsetto.
You can tell. You can tell. I would love. We should talk to Damien and Michael about this.
But they've got some straight stories.
They've got some good shit about this.
Mate, if this is what's in the movie, imagine what hit the cut move.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's some amazing shit.
Okay, I promise I work with you too. Okay? Okay? Alright, tomorrow, I know that you have scrims and stuff, so...
Up top is the dive. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a fire meme. Team Liquor. Team Liquor. That's funny. Good job, Twitch chat.
Popper takes a lot, but so too, and takes the series 2-0 over Enix in a very commanding win. Team Liquid Academy have just secured.
We didn't have the best week of practice for sure, but really good way to end out the season. We have 6 days until playoffs.
Pulls Coup back in, and Team Liquid Academy are cleaning up with 3 kills, and they're not going for the Dragon. They're heading towards the Baron. Team Liquid Academy 2-0 so far. We'll go mid. Nox equal plays all for a lot of damage. First blood, Golden Glue. Ken hops over the Nexus, but the Nexus turrets are going down, and Team Liquid Academy will take the series and advance to the Challenger Series Finals.
We're a playmaking team. We either dominate them or we play slow, and it's not how we play. Look to dominate. Look to dominate. And we'll win this series. Okay, guys?
But he actually drops before getting the pull out. Equalizer tries to reset the Cloud9 Challenger. Could be looking to take this game here, and now they drop onto the Nexus turrets themselves. We're going to game 3 as Team Liquid Academy take game 2 over Cloud9. He gets disappeared by Cloud9 Challengers. They pick up 4 kills. Solo, the sole survivor, will watch the Nexus fall. Standing, but they do not stand a chance. Team Liquid Academy even it up, and we are going to game 5. He is going to be the pick. And Rammus.
What? Oh, this is when he did the troll pick or something, didn't he? Remember?
Oh, this
well, they
also
accidentally picked it or something, didn't they?
Also, this is when Jack dropped his main roster into Challenger to win the slot so that he could sell it. So this is like, I mean, this was a giant flaw in the Challenger system where you could just move your roster down there for playoffs and then just like win it and then sell your new slot for $1 million.
But yeah, this is where they did like where people speculated he did this to be like belligerent or something, like he purposely picked it to fuck with them or whatever.
In a game 5, oh my god.
Something like that.
The phone last second timer. The North American Challenger Series Finals as they take the Nexus and defeat Team Liquid Academy.
Team Liquid Academy is going to have to play the 10th place team as well as the 9th place team in best of 5s in order to qualify. So a much tougher road from them in that regard. But they can still do it, right? It is still in their own hands.
The thing with me and Sam's relationship is I'm in a high-stress environment with my best friend, and I want to see him continue to be my best friend and also my coworker. So when Samson is severely underperforming as one of the worst top laners in North American LCS, I'm obviously going to tell him that I'm not going to go up to him and be like, hey, bud, you're doing a real great job out there. Keep it up. I'm going to be like, yeah, dude, you're shit. You gotta pick it up or you're going to get fucking dead.
He's like, and that's how he talks to his best friend.
To paraphrase the old saying, with friends like dardoch, who needs enemies?
My best friend Samson, who's a shit player, so I'm just going to tell him that.
I told him every time he underperformed. And he's come to me several times and said, thank you for making me the player who I am today.
Oh, Jesus, he's cocked him so hard that all was like, you know what, dardoch? Thanks for just shitting on me relentlessly, destroying my morale, like, cheers.
Can I have another?
I know. Like, that's, you know, like that, there's like a similar story like that, which is like, sometimes people who are on like the bad end of the toxic relationship have to acknowledge that they're part of why those relationships happen over and over again, you know?
And he said he holds me responsible for a lot of his improvement, and if I could go back and talk to him differently, I tell him he's shit to his face every time I believe he's shit, and he always fixes it. There's a matter of harsh criticism, and there's a matter of people who take harsh criticism well, and I think Samson really adapted. I think hearing it from his close friend helped him a lot.
I don't think it did.
He's definitely like another brother to me. And in the past 8 months, he's changed me for better and for worse. Like, I poured my emotions into the team and to him. Like, yeah, we grinded things together. We worked on our problems together. We improved as a duo together.
Sassy? I don't want to get that.
Nope. dardoch, big zero.
Someone messed up.
What the fuck? What is this game? Also the casters? Like,
I guess. I don't know.
Well, I mean, speaking of who would mess up a 2v1, Lorlo.
I don't know. What is
actually?
This is like some Stockholm syndrome.
This is awful to watch.
They thought, by the way, no joke, they thought when they were making this documentary, we've got to show Lawlow's personality as well and what is. So they think this is the heartwarming part of the story. I'm just watching like someone in an abusive marriage here, like, just leave him, it's not worth it. Like, nah, but he did everything for me, he took me from off. I'm like, no, he didn't. He's got you into that mindset. He's making you believe that.
I think just having someone to just like rely on, just like always have someone like, yeah, let's go to 7-Eleven together, let's go to Cheesecake. Just have like the guy that I can go with somewhere without even like be stressed out around him, because like he knows everything about me, I know everything about him. So it's always nice to have someone that you honestly don't have to talk to him because you're just having a good time with them.
Who is this? Schoolboy Q, dude. His new album. Sansa doesn't know who the fuck that is. I have no clue who this is. Pretty white boy rapper. He only knows Tupac. Only knows Tupac. That's my boy. That's all you gotta know. Drake. Kanye. That part.
I just want us to go crazy today.
These guys 2v2. When have we lost to them? We can't throw a lead.
You guys have actually never lost to them 2v2 opening of the game.
We never lose 2v2 to anybody.
Yeah.
We've got 6 months of synergy, dude. 6 months of in and IRL synergy. Nobody's closer than me and Sam.
I don't know if that's for better or worse.
Darshan and X-Smithy, dude?
No, they're probably, that doesn't even count, dude.
They don't really talk to each other.
This is such like a classic abusive relationship too, because the thing is like it feels like Dardoch has identified that Lorlo really wants to be close to somebody, and so what Dardoch does, as you were pointing out earlier, is that he says things to he expects it to be reality, but if somebody else wants that thing, then he can just say it, but still behave however the fuck he wants, and Lorlo's just falling into that trap. That's actually sad. It's just sad to watch that.
Do I tweet the picture of me and Sam and the caption is Apex is fucking free or what?
I'd say no.
He just tweeted, prepare your cheese. Which insinuates that they need the cheese us to
You've
win.
already tweeted that?
It's important.
You already tweeted that, Sam? No, you don't shit talk people that are like easily worse than you. You shit talk the better people.
Yeah, but they've shit talked us before.
Just look
at
them tweet.
Yeah.
Just retweet their tweet and just be like,
fuck
free
that.
pass.
I gotta make my own. I gotta hype up the match, you know?
Oh yeah. Those are great ball passes.
What happened to Matt? I miss Matt being the calm center of reason in this team. Where did the Matt interviews go?
For us, I think we have a lot of things to work on still, and like we're all like still putting in a lot of work. And I think at the end of the day, Liquid will have like a really good shot at making worlds. So.
Making worlds, he said. He said have a really good chance of making worlds. What are you talking about? This is best of threes. This is one can't even fluke this. No way. No way.
And the first blood goes to dardoch. Ooh, unlucky. That's rough. Just out of the way, Shrimp not tanking up, but that ulti might be enough. No, not there in time. As the rest of Team Liquid have cut Apex off right down the middle.
2 levels, that is huge here in this jungle priority, and they're trying to force fights. He does get it. They're looking for the initiation.
Shrimp, big ulti finds Fabi and Mac. Huge win from Keen as well. They combo it in an Apex. They find the miracle.
Let's all walk into a choke point against the Hecarim.
Shrimp gonna be late, but Keen's down here as well. Apex, we're gonna turn this around. Spear's gonna miss, but the ulti's down. Huge amount of damage in special. Takes out Matt. There's one as well for Keen as he slays Dardoch, and Lolo eats a spear for another.
No one's listening to my calls, and then it's a mix of just people trying to do their own thing.
Trying to get Fabi, and they will get him, but there's a good ulti. Lolo now the targeting special. Knocks him up as well, but Phoenix still alive, and now Apollo finally takes him out. Keen did die, but Apex gonna clean up another team fight.
What a series from Apex. No one would have expected them to take down Liquid. This was supposed to be the easy match for Liquid. They're supposed to take this series, move on and fight C9 tomorrow, but Apex has other plans and keep their playoff hopes alive.
Certainly looking good as they'll take the Nexus in Game 3 and collect the upset.
And there's probably a lot of things that everyone wants to say, and
I do have to stop losing.
Whatever. Whatever.
If we don't have any replay, if we don't have anything, and we just go like, oh, someone should have done this, someone should have done this, it becomes useless emotional arguing. We're gonna go do fan interaction, take a short break, go back home, go through the games. We can still get really ideal situations out of this. If C9...
No, we're locked in 4th, and then we actually have to play the game now.
So just stop. We just gotta
fans in 2, okay?
Just get good. Who cares what's seen at this point? We lost this game. Like third or fourth, fifth, sixth doesn't even matter. Let's just get good so we beat every team.
I don't know. It's just like we either get good at playing the 5v5 game or we draft towards the fucking jungle 1v9. So I'm the only like real consistent player that we have. Like, everyone.
Pause a sec. This is mental. Like, here's the thing: you can even say it as much with like euphemisms, and people would like forgive you, but you can't literally just say to your coach, like, "Listen, we're either going to play a 5v5 or we just draft so I can fucking 1v9." Literally saying 1v9. So he's implying that he's literally against 4 teammates and the opponent. Like, he doesn't even say like 1v5. God. Like that would be vaguely reasonable.
Oh my god!
Like the way he said that is so ass. It's unreal, isn't it? Imagine thinking that would be a productive thing to say as well. So yeah, good point. We will just draft.
And Lorlo's like, it would be 1v9.
I know. He's like, yeah, you
really
tell him, Josh.
1v9. And we're just losing games straight up because we're drafting towards 5v5 and we don't have 5 strong members. Like when I'm dealing, like when I'm full fucking tank Rek'Sai dealing more damage than 2 fucking AoE carries, like that's not acceptable whatsoever. Like this is like it's actually just sad, dude.
I will say though, this was always a problem that I always thought Loco had as a coach, from listening to a lot of his interviews and watching the talk shows and stuff, is he is someone who, at least at this point in time, definitely did believe in like global meta thinking. And so as a result, he really would do that stuff that I actually think is idiotic, where you're just like, right, well, Siva's really strong right now, so we're going to put our ADC on Siva. It's like, well, who's your ADC? Like, who is the player? Like, well, you know what I mean? But it's supposed to win this match.
Just think about the irony of this conversation too. So, dardoch is sitting here and he's like, God damn it, my carries aren't doing any damage. If only I had a carry who was super good and could actually deal damage. Oh, wait, that guy that I chased off the team? Oh, shit. Like,
exactly.
This is like, it's always him complaining about the next problem. It's crazy.
So fucking embarrassing.
Alright, let's go through fans and then we can talk afterwards.
I'm not going to fans. I'm just chilling.
Jesus.
Alright, I mean, we gotta do fan as a team. We can't just send 4 people out there.
You can send 4 people. We've done it before.
Nah, I don't think it's a good idea. I think we should
know,
go
like,
fans
I'm
as a team.
being completely serious. Like, I'm not in the fans right now.
What you do here, by the way, is you like, you do realize this is like part of your job.
Yeah, of course.
Right? You must go out there and interact with the fans. That is how you make money.
Especially if you've lost the game, for fuck's sake. At least do something for you.
Yeah.
Be productive in some way.
Some teams, sometimes they have in there.
Nick, your call.
We send 4 people.
Alright.
No! You can't just let him run the team!
How I treated
No!
I'll find it.
That's alright, we'll go back.
Where was that?
We were like 110, yeah, right there.
Inconsistent. And we're just losing games straight up because we're drafting towards 5v5 and we don't have 5 strong members. Like when I'm dealing, like when I'm full fucking whatsoever, it's just like, it's so afterwards. I'm not
as a team. We can't just send 4 people.
I know, like I'm being completely serious. Like I'm not in the fans right now.
We can just cancel school. Some teams, sometimes they have in there.
Nick, your call.
We send 4 people.
Alright, let's go, guys.
Everyone else was too tilted, dude. They played perfect. dardoch played perfect.
Oh, there's my mom.
Deserves to be here.
Where's our game? I'm tilted. There's my family. She's right there. She's right there.
We had the freest road to Toronto. All we did.
No, I absolutely fucking. We had last week. We had a 2-0 last week.
We need to beat fucking Clown Apex and fucking Cloud9.
Yeah.
And then we have fucking Envy and fucking semifinal, and then we just go to semifinals for free. Yeah, and we play against the team that we beat in scrims all the time, fucking Immortals. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. We legit had the freest run to finals ever.
Yeah, and I mean, we can take that frustration.
Even freer than last split. What the fuck?
No, absolutely. But we can take that and we can just look at the next 3 weeks and say, like, do we give up now and do we just look forward to the next split, or do we try?
Maybe we just ignore the fact that we're focused too hard on wanting to win, and maybe we're just not good enough to win. We never.
Yeah, that seems like a helpful thing to say. Guys, in the midst of this playoff battle that we're still involved in, can we stop asking, like, you know, about trying the hardest to win? Maybe we just aren't good enough. Has anyone thought about that? What would possibly come out of that?
maybe we're just a fundamentally broken team. In which case,
call it quits now.
Yep. Just roll over and die. Even though you say you had a free road to finals. Also, by your own logic, if you have the free road to finals because all these other teams suck, why can't you just beat them and go to the finals in the first place?
Exactly. Just win the next game.
Just win the next games.
Good enough to be in this league. Do we deserve to be here? Is our skill high enough to be in this league?
Those might be, by definition, the least productive questions you can ask at this moment in time, at this point in the season.
And exactly, it's also the same thing. It's like, well, how could we raise our skill floor? Oh, Piglet? Yeah, maybe we could have done that. That would have been good, maybe having, especially when you're going to playoffs. This is where you want the veteran players who aren't going to get rattled. This is where you want the guy who has had the pressure of playing at a world championship and winning to come and help you out so that the rest of your people don't get freaked out.
I don't very often sit down and talk directly with the players. A lot of the coaching staff manage and do that most of the time. So it's a little different for the player to be like, oh wow, the owner's coming over to me and he's going to have a talk with me right before the game starts.
When he starts arguing with Steve Allen, it's amazing. He just literally, he's so disrespectful to his men, so you wouldn't believe this was your boss. So we'll see in a second when it comes up.
To get an idea of where his mindset was. Kind of reassure myself that he was going into the last week and he was ready to play.
You've been doing some things that haven't been great, right? Yeah. You've been on LCS days in game. You've been kind of saying things that you shouldn't be saying during the game. That's not very good for team morale. It's kind of hurting the way the players play the game, and we're not increasing our odds of winning because of that match. Because of the things that you're saying in game.
The coaching staff doesn't want to work with you. They feel like it's a really unprofessional, unhealthy work environment. Obviously, from a business standpoint, I'm paying all of their salaries, plus Loco's salary, plus your salary, plus Piglet's salary that didn't want, you guys had your issue as well. I am investing a ton of money, so it's extremely costly for me to run a business where I'm investing into things and then they want to just quit because of the environment that's being created. As a businessman, I can't do that. I can't put all that money and resources into something that's not working.
When it comes to dealing with dardoch, I try to pick the battles the right way. I know a lot of times when it gets heated, talking to him is not going to work.
I think after counseling and summer and all the things with Jordan and Loco and my time and then hiring an assistant coach and all this stuff, it's just not working.
All those things, they all did the opposite of help, actually. Talking to Loco definitely doesn't help. I think that the team environment is not just I hate that everything is just put right onto me.
Here's the thing. Listen, there are other things that are going on, trust me. Hey, don't say that to me.
Well, at the very least, cut me off in the middle of the conversation. No. In the middle of my point.
You kind of just have to let him mull over it and let off some steam, whether that's him venting a little bit.
If you're going to give me a bottom lane that's playing at a Diamond 5 level, that's absolutely unacceptable. And then you're coming to me telling me that my attitude's a problem when he's not even putting forth
I think the degree of effort, yes, maybe that's something that we look at.
And how am I supposed to meet that with, it's okay guys, we can still win. It's okay guys, they all underperformed. Fabi had a very small time where he was performing really well, and then he got complacent and lazy, and now look where he's at. He's getting smashed by Apollo and Xpecial.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely valid points to that. I think that we need to make greater strides. I don't think that you can say that I've made all this progress and now I get to then still have some issues in game. I should hold you accountable to a higher standard so that at least the issues that we have, I don't have to worry about focusing my energy with you. Instead, your actions are making me put energy and resources into this when it could go somewhere else.
Yeah. Exactly.
So why not become the best athlete, not just a better athlete than you were 6 months ago?
When you look at the outside picture and you understand the fucking weight of that game and that set yesterday on me especially, I want Worlds more than any player on this fucking team. I don't give a fuck who they are. I don't care about Loco, I don't care about Phoenix. I want this more than anyone. I put forth way more effort. I put all my life into this. I fucking sacrificed so much. I left my normal life. I sacrificed school. I dropped out of fucking high school to move out here and play this video game professionally, and I expected professionalism and hard work from my teammates. And that set,
I expect the same thing.
That set, if we win and we go 2-0, we 2-0 today, we're Worlds. Fucking bound for Worlds. No chance. And when I'm met with that level of play, and all I say is that the game's over, that is honestly, that's an A+, honestly, from my point of view, because what I wanted to say is I want to quit the game. I don't want to play on the stage with these underperforming players.
I love your passion, Josh.
Right, pause a second. First of all, like I will say, another thing I have noticed, unfortunately, with people who are like divisive figures like that, is because the way you are acting out is so over the top, you will become the magnet for all the criticism. That is true. Like basically any other problems, like other people might have problems. Like obviously Lolo wasn't a good player, Fabi was a shit guy. But the problem is it will all just become like, it's too obvious. Like what you're doing is too obviously bad that you will become the main person blamed. So I get why they always feel scapegoated in that sense. But like it is ridiculous that he doesn't understand. Still sort of like for example, he was still basically trying to argue like, well, let's not focus on anything I've done because they're shit players. It's like I'll never get over it. Like, Steve Arhancent's actually nailing the angle, which is like, yeah, but if I'm paying you and the whole point is you're one of my stars, like if you want me to take care of the rest of the problems, you have to make yourself.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was saying earlier, where you have to step up in that situation. If you are going to be the star player, you don't just get to introduce additional problems. It's like he's trying to fix all the problems, sure, but again, dardoch's just deflecting, saying, no, the real problem's over here. These aren't mutually exclusive. You can fix your own problems, and I can work on fixing the other problems at the same time, right?
It gets me fired up. I love it, okay? The only things are in-game stuff, and we've got to make a better effort on some of this stuff. Let me handle the things with our bot lane, okay? And I'll put my effort there. I got it. Okay, buddy? All right.
I want nothing more than to win, but
I do too.
It just gets overwhelming sometimes.
All right, let's go.
Liquid hoping to forget it ever happened. Cloud9 one kill short of a perfect game to start their series against Liquid. The next one's going to get smashed. If they don't dive the fountain, they're going to get them all. The call not going to mean anything. Medios walks in, says, don't you dare, I'm a fat man, and knocks it down. A 2-0, 36-minute game.
Like, we have the ability to buckle down if we all take it seriously.
You can be the Cinderella story.
We could.
Wow, Dardoch Cinderella, we got it. We got it on that last episode of this show is actually a thing. All right.
Yeah, that was actually our reference. Yeah.
Whoa,
right.
Whoa, accidental
that
reference.
Was the name of the Summer Insights.
There've been a lot of teams that go from fucking awful seeding and awful regular split and then just win the whole thing. So I think we can do it as well.
And just
on
think about days,
we take sets off.
Effort. The amount of effort you put in is the result we get. I feel like for every single one of you guys, when you guys didn't put in effort, you guys played like shit, and when you guys put in a lot of effort, you guys played well. I'm not talking about as a team, but as individual performance. Your performance directly correlates with your effort.
Yeah, and how seriously you take it affects it a lot. That's good.
I mean, what's left on stage is how much effort you guys put in. Like, if you're proud of your performance, if you're happy with how much effort you put in, then you're going to get the kind of performance that you deserve. And if you're disappointed on stage and if you have regrets, that means it has to do something with the effort you put in that week. Be honest with yourself and think about how much effort you put in, and if you're really satisfied, and think about what you can change for playoffs.
So they know exactly what they want to do, okay? And then we'll be fine. Anything you guys want to add? Just fuck shit up. Just because they suck it down. Yeah. Oh, biggest thing. I don't care what Reddit says. I don't care what Twitter says. This is not Solo versus KFO. This is not Big Up versus Keith. This is not TLA versus Echo Fox. Froggen versus Golden Glue, I guess. It's TLA versus Echo Fox, okay?
Got me.
That's just the promotion match then, I guess.
Yeah.
Since Echo Fox and LCS.
Big I've coffee, so be careful. No.
What do you call it?
Oh, bring it on me. TLA have to run you.
1, 2, 3, TLA!
But Stun follows up. Exhaust looking for first blood. Knockout teleport. Golden Glue gets it. Hard, meanwhile, misses the fat flash. He's going to try to turn it around, but 5 members of Team Liquid Academy participated out. Does not have the Mega Gnar slam. Oh, he drops the wall up late. KFO under the turret is stunned. Solo kills.
Terrible commentary.
Solo comes up big there. Oh, that player cam. The flex there from Solo after the play. TLA They're very confident in this match. The second break is secured by Echo Fox. Moon tries to engage the cask, separates them back. Piglet goes in, trying to drop the AoE. Big will be the first to fall. Solo misses the first stun, but finds the second. KFO teleports in, looking for stun in the back line, but cannot find it. As Team Liquid Academy are cleaning this fight up, KFO will get 1 kill in return. Boomerang lands, and the stun follows it up. They have caught him. That is a dead Soraka. And that's just Stun playing really well on that Taric. He didn't even flash on that first one. He got the flash out of Keith, and then the barrel from Moon to separate the Soraka is an interesting choice, because usually you want to get the AD carry back into your team, but he had full confidence that they were going to catch him after the boomerang landed.
This is going to be the biggest waste of money ever.
Oh, the flare pops up just in time to get the...
Give me a break. The fact they think that was a fine solution is mental, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with that.
Kill. Now Froggen completes his teleport. So much regret. So much regret. He didn't know! He didn't know! Down. Piglet is running for his life. Does Piglet have the plays? No, he does not. Froggen kills him. Moon is going to be the last person here. There goes the Void Rush, and it is not enough. Nothing to deal with the damage. And Echo Fox might have done it. They scare away the rest. Keith even dropping a bit of BM as he drops into the...
When you're getting BM'd by Keith McBride in a Challenger Game 5 promotion match, might be time to call it quits. I don't think the game's for you.
What a fall, Piglet.
I know, that's so depressing, isn't it? Man alive.
Really close series. Really close series. It sucks a lot, and I know all of us signed here with one goal. It was to win. And unfortunately, we didn't win enough. I'm truly sorry for that. Know that every single one of you has improved a lot. And no matter where your paths go, whether you stay with us or look to seek other options or whatever happens, I know that this was a stepping stone into reaching higher achievements for your career. I know a lot of you guys improved. None of your guys' careers are going to go down from here. It can only go up from here. And again, I'm really sorry for today's loss. It really sucks.
All right, we should probably take another bathroom break real quick.
All right.
Take a little bit of a break. We'll be back for the thrilling conclusion, the last 20 minutes of Breaking Point.
To see what Dardoch, aka the Antonio Brown of the LCS. How does this end? Does it end well? Do they put it all together and make it to World Skies? Let's see. Let's find out.
Couldn't possibly play with this mouse any longer. You had to play with this old mouse, but the new one, you know, was under the LCS regulations.
Obviously, Lolo in this scenario would be like Juju Schuster, or where that guy flamed the fuck out.
All right, guys, we're going to be back in just a couple of minutes. Take a quick break here, and we'll finish it up. All right, we're back for the thrilling conclusion of Breaking Point. Where is it going? Oh, God. Well, this has been a much more interesting ride than I anticipated. I forgot truly how horrifying everything that happens in this documentary is.
Oh no, absolutely. Like, I think part of the thing that's interesting is, to be fair, we obviously know more about their careers now and some of who the players are, etc. But if you look back now, some of the problems do almost seem laughable.
Yes.
Like, these 100%. Really shouldn't have been like end of the world. Like, here's the thing, I totally get why it might destroy like the personal relationship. Like this guy just is never gonna like that guy except for as a teammate. But the idea that it just tore the team apart, this is ridiculous. And the solutions that Team Liquid the org found are absolute ass. Like that isn't a solution to just put someone on the academy team.
No, they just avoided the problem entirely. All right, let's go.
Going back home now that he's lost.
Bye, Piggy.
If you told me a year ago that Piglet would play in Challenger and enjoy it and want to play in Challenger, I would not believe you. He went from one game away from competing for the finals.
Oh, this is where they do that thing where at the end they have to spin the narratives to all seem in some way vaguely positive, or like, we all learned a lot. You know, in the end, maybe the starting spot he had was the friends he made along the way. What are you talking about? Like, this was an abject failure.
Yeah, you didn't learn anything. You decided, you actually chose not to learn anything by moving him to this position.
Really enjoy enjoying playing the game, having his teammates going for one goal. And I felt like Piglet's development was so much further along in him being a leader and him just being able to trust his teammates and be a full team player.
Dave is my friend and Dave is my coach. If I get stressed, like I just talk to him. I need this. So he just try picks. I just want him. I want David. Talk to him. Everything. David doing good.
The slow-mo shot cracks me up.
Here we go, LAX.
Bye. Okay. Bye.
All right, here's the real juice.
Dardoch goes in, but he gets stopped by Smithy. Hui stuns two in the backline, and dardoch still coming in. Great ult there from Gragas as Hui's getting low. Phoenix does manage to take him down, but he is going to get the counter kill onto Phoenix. CLG still fighting forward. Lolo low. Two-man ulti from dardoch's going to seal the fate of two more members of TL and Fatty.
Do not look for a perfect team fight. You guys aren't going to get the perfect team fight. You guys are going to get decent engages, and everyone's going to be on the same page. Dardoch and Sam know what kind of fights they want to look for, and we're just going to follow through on the engages, regardless if you guys think that it's good or not, okay? The engagers are going to fucking engage, and we're going to follow through on the engage, and we're going to fucking smash them, because they're shit here at team fighting, because they're garbage, okay?
Right, so at the end that sort of trailed off there, right? So we're going to smash them. Why? Are we really good? Do we have something? Because they're shit tier at team fights and they're garbage.
Well, to be fair, that is kind of good halftime coaching though, where you're like, because you can only make these small adjustments. So you have to find as a coach like the ways you're in between games. You're like, okay, here's the problem. We just need to follow through or have this better engage that everyone's going to commit to, whether you think it's a good idea or not, because you just need to realign everybody and give like a couple salient points for them that they can actually fix in a short amount of time. But yes, the reasoning was silly. You didn't even have to say that. You could just say we're doing this because that's the way we need to team fight.
Tag him, Fabi. They will get him, but dardoch taking down Chui. Also getting done by Lawler, but CLG peel and managed to take him down. Nah has gone down. Phoenix flashes in looking for more. Firing away. Everybody is CLG going to start to go wild in the base of Team Liquid. Nexus, hopefully though, it's going to go down. And a chaotic ends the game to CLG up 2-0.
I'm just, whatever. Just pick me whatever. Let's just fucking lose these.
Right, wait a second. So, if anyone is wondering, up until a minute ago, has dardoch learned anything? Did his experience shape him? Did he develop his character? He's down 0-2 in a playoff game. Not even like it's really a playoff game. You're trying to still go to Worlds. And he just goes, you know what, just pick me whatever. Let's lose
Just
in
let
peace.
me die. See, what I love about this guy is like, in 1 minute, he's talking to Steve, or like on one day, he's like, no one wants to go to Worlds as much as I do. Absolutely no one. And then he's like, in this point where if he really wanted it, he should be trying his absolute hardest
now
right
is
now.
when he should say, pick me,
he should be heated up.
the game.
He should be heated. Yeah, exactly. He should be like, I can get... If he believed for 1 second that bullshit he was spewing earlier, he should be like, yep, get me a carry jungler. It's time to 1v9, motherfuckers. This is dardoch time. And instead, he's just, fuck it, man, whatever. Like, what a crazy dude this is.
Go off, but there's no orders to follow. dardoch going back in again. Smithy gonna get tagged, but the rest of CLG's here. Sticksafe just crits his face off as Hui gets an ulti out for a bit of burst damage. Jin squad out. Matt's gonna die. Siva now with a double kill. CLG bursting forward. Phoenix gets shot with 6 kills. There's a triple kill. Looking to chase it down. Lolo nowhere good to run. Sticksafe. There's the quadra kill. Jin the only one left alive with no flash.
What's he doing? What's Steve Anderson doing? Go like pick up water.
Steve just starts rolling around on the floor.
26 minutes in, that's gonna wrap it up.
From the last game of the season to the start of the gauntlet, we had about 3.5 weeks in order to prepare for those matches, to give our last kind of shot in order to get into Worlds.
In a holistic team view, you want to make sure that the health and mentality of the other 4 players are up to snuff too. And so we made that decision with the other players in mind. We wanted to give them kind of room to excel without feeling like someone is breathing down their throat.
Does this mean they bench Dardoch?
Obviously.
If their actual solution at the end is to bench Dardoch, Team Liquid, like, it's like, I can't say I know what the right decision would be, but they've made almost every wrong decision. At every stage of maximising, like, both, like, making the players learn the lessons, like, maximising your odds in the game, they fucked it up at every single turn. If they actually bench him in a gauntlet, I can't even handle it. Like, what was the point of all of this?
Yeah, I feel like you at least have to see it through
Exactly,
for the rest
like,
of the season.
why bail at that point?
That they make.
We thought, okay, if we continue as is, and we've just had the recent result of the last 2 weeks, we go into the gauntlet, can we fix those issues over these next 3 weeks, or is it better to just kind of shake things up and try something completely new?
I was just like chilling on my computer, just playing solo queue like back in the old days, I guess. So, and then I just messaged Josh as I'm online. I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" And then he's like, "I'm off the team." He just blatantly said that to me. Like, "Wait, you're trolling, right?" Because I'm like, used to him just messing around with me. Like, of course he has to be trolling, right? I'm like, really question mark, and he's like, "No, I'm really gone this time." I'm like, okay.
The fact that they were even able to sell him to Echo Fox is incredible.
I mean, this was when Echo Fox was pretty bad, though.
Sure.
Remember when they were just like just frogging and 4 people losing all the time. So I assume they were just desperate. Because that's also the sad thing about this. This is another reason, unfortunately. That's why I made the point earlier on about like Dardoch being such a valuable player, because he's from NA and a jungler, and was also a pretty good one. Not even just for an NA player. Unfortunately, just the nature of the economics of the business meant he never was forced to learn his lesson, because a million teams still tried after this. Because
of course.
Basically what everyone did, the same thing, by the way, that would have happened with Antonio Brown, as you saw, if he hadn't have totally wrecked the outside of the game stuff, is there'll always be some team desperate enough that if you have the skills, they'll think, maybe I can be the one that gets through this guy, and then I've suddenly got like a diamond in the rough, haven't I? And then I'll win the league or turn it around. So that's why CLG did it, Immortals. It makes perfect sense. But the problem is, it teaches someone like that, like, oh, I can just keep doing this and I'll continually get like 5 chances, you know. There's a lot of people in games.
It's like I was never the problem.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I went downstairs, he was just like playing solo queue like usual. I'm like, "Are you leaving tonight?" He's like, "Yeah." Okay. So like I asked him if he needed help packing. He said he already packed, and then I walked him out to the car. He met his new Echo Fox manager. That's probably one of the saddest days of my life, to be honest. After he left, it was about like 9 o'clock. I went up to the roof. I was just like messaging my girlfriend a little bit. I messaged my good friend named Ben. I was like talking about like everything. I also just messaged Nick. I messaged Loco, and then Loco came up and he just talked to me about the good but also the bad. And it was just a long night of definitely a lot of crying. Probably one of the most depressing, sad nights of my life. It was really, really hard.
Any offer I get is fortunate. Like, I'm blessed to get it, so I'm gonna take whatever I can get. And at the moment, all I had was Echo Fox, so I instantly went on board and tried to prove that I changed.
He actually never went though, because if you remember, he went to Immortals next. So I can't remember what happened, but obviously he never ended up on an Echo Fox. I mean, he did get Echo Fox, but like years later when it was a Greenie lineup, you know.
Huh.
Let's try a really healthy environment where we bring in somebody that maybe doesn't really know how to play jungle in his role, but is the #1 rank in North America on the ladder, obviously has a lot of mechanical skill. Can we
This
teach
sounds like a
him
terrible idea. Of all the roles to try that with as well, jungle is definitely not one.
Especially like right before you're about to go to the gauntlet. I mean, they must have had zero expectations.
No. The reason why I get why they did this is like if Dardoch's doing that in the playoff scenario, where she's like, just pick me the game so I can just lose. It's like, yeah, I sort of see why you don't want that person. But
that's
like,
fair.
I always say, like, I'm amazed at the people who think that like jungles. I know it's not the most impactful role, but I think it's the hardest to play as a pro. Because I always say, if you even just play a solo queue game, when you're behind in the jungle, it's the most like worthless game to play in of all time. Because it's like trying to put out fires when you're definitely going to die in a fire at the end of the game. It's like there's no possible outcome that works, does it?
Well, it's also that I think even if you're playing well and you get somebody ahead, if they throw away that lead, then you lose and you just feel like, well, why couldn't I have gotten that gold or that experience or that advantage myself? I gave it away and now this idiot lost me the game.
The thing is, I forgot this part of the story. I don't remember them bringing someone in and just having them role swap or something.
as we possibly can about the top jungle picks and kind of the rotational macro game over those 3 weeks, and let's see how he performs. In my head, I thought, probably pretty good shot. So let's talk to Ark second and find out what his mindset is. It was to just make sure that we had a really productive 3.5 weeks leading into the gauntlet, rather than kind of more of the same issues that were existing between Josh and the coaching staff.
We're back here to qualify our third and final team to Worlds. Team Liquid has kind of tempered expectations, while Envy is maybe getting a little bit of a boon from the fact that Team Liquid is in a bit of disarray.
Before all this stuff happened with like the roster changes, you would think that Liquid are the favorites coming into it. Now, Envy are definitely the favorites coming into it against Liquid, who have a substitute jungler who has never played jungle before professionally in any capacity. I mean,
the guy that was the ADC, I think, instead of
that was the
they had two
ADC.
players, yeah. It was the Ark second guy.
Yeah, Ark second, yeah.
This lineup is dog shit, though. Spoiler, they lose.
Number one on the ladder, but as a mid laner.
Ark second is going to make his debut. Flash, he could. Doesn't go for the outplay. There's the auto attack. There's first blood. Ark second is going to show up. And it's going to be nice for Liquid. They're the first kill coming through for the new jungle. No, they're going to go back here for this one. Try to burn him down.
E3.
Wow, Liquid pulling the trigger.
Okay, you got it.
Nice.
I'm pushing.
Nice, good shit. Holy fuck, you're a beast.
Yeah, let's start. I think we come on. Right side. I'm being ulted. Okay, Silver. Nice, good job. Good job. No, just push. Alright, I'm pretty sure we just won the fucking game. Jin on Dragon.
Okay, Phoenix, we kill Cassidy, okay? Keep going. I'm marking mid. I'm gonna be in all range in 5.
No flash Mal's hard. I'm coming to Mal's. I can ult. Oh, he's dead. Silver's behind us.
Look for Sarah. Yes, look, Cassidy.
He has flash.
Let's go.
I'm ulting.
Cassidy. Sarah, Rexide's on side.
Holy shit, did they throw this?
Back up.
I mean, it's...
Come on, Sever.
If that Kassadin starts to get an advantage, it becomes pretty problematic for them, so... Looks like they're throwing.
Can't help.
Just as soon as he respawns into the chain CC and Deja Vu.
It's also badass they have the comms inside the game now.
Yeah.
The actual match. That's pretty cool.
His name implies, and now Phoenix has to run away as his teammates are all dying around him. It's a 5v2 as Envy are going to look to close out the first game of the series in a pretty incredible comeback win. Seraph playing his 20th champion of the split, the Kassadin. Pretty instrumental in the win as Phoenix running out of HP. A quick trade kill comes in for
It's really obvious that after like 9 months of work that your emotions just build up to the last result.
No, it's not that. Only that, just whole game. After all the game, they just shut down their mouths.
This is the last run we have for Worlds, and it was like the last tournament we had to play for like the end of the season. So even myself, like I had a ton of pent-up emotion built up, and I know Phoenix did.
They don't have any plan, and they just, I don't know what. We just playing like fucking normal game.
couldn't control them at the end and just lashed out on the new rookies and also just the team in general.
I do
because
feel
he was
bad for
frustrated
this
that we
scenario
couldn't.
for Phoenix. Like, think about where he's at now.
We haven't even seen him in like the last hour.
Dardoch's gone. Piglet's gone.
Yeah.
He's got literally an auto-filled jungle, and then the AD carries like the third string AD carry. Like, holy moly! Like, how is he ever going to win this game?
So, well, we haven't even heard from Phoenix in like the last hour because everything's been about like.
He actually comes off looking the best
of
of everyone in this thing, doesn't he?
Yeah,
He just seems like a normal human who just plays the game.
Even beat Envy, and like that's pretty disappointing for not only myself but for Liquid Org in general.
I think that it's really important that if you see people are shutting down and people aren't talking, you talk to them. You're like, yo guys, we can still win this, we can do this. And then you give them clear objective and clear plans on what they can do to execute if you think people aren't coming up with their own plans.
I can see his frustration, it's definitely acceptable, but after my 9 months of like hard work and just ending up getting 3 out, it's definitely like a heartbreaker.
If you don't want to be on server, then you can use the last man on server because he's willing to play Irelia into Kennen, and then you can be Jhin instead. Would you rather do that?
I mean, I can take server too. I mean,
which one would you prefer, Phil?
I don't really have a preference.
Okay.
I prefer Jhin over server actually.
Alright, then let's go with that, okay? Let's get ready to get on stage. And Phoenix, you stay. Phoenix, if you really want to win the series, instead of blaming picks, let's talk about what we can fix. And even if you do think picks are problematic, you can say it in a much more productive
Why wasn't he doing this before?
Fucking picks problem. They just fucking. I just play fucking normal game with voice chat with some random guys. They just after all game they just do nothing. Oh, I do this, I do this. They just doesn't have any plan. They just fucking just shut. They don't know what to do. They just shut down.
If they don't know what to do, then we can help them in game.
Wait, how I fucking save 5 men?
I think some people like you guys.
That's the quote right there. That should be the tagline. You know, every post has a different tagline. His is just how I fucking saved 5 men. You've got a point, Phoenix. I can't lie, mate. You have got a point on that one.
Breaking point. How I fucking saved 5 men? Question mark. That's a great meme.
Again,
let's bring that meme back.
Think of this situation, mate. He's also a Korean who's come over to the West. He's grinding, putting in his hours. Look at the team he's got around him. They're just garbage, aren't they?
That is such a good line.
I think saying something simple like, yo guys, I want to get side lane priority, can you push up mid is something really helpful that you could tell them.
They just close your mouth.
Because I know you're frustrated and I know they're closing their mouth. Instead of us yelling at them, why aren't you guys talking? Like, you guys can do this really easily. Like, this is so simple. It doesn't really help the problem. But if you can talk to them where it's motivating and tell them what to do and help them talk, I think that would be a better solution than being angry at them.
Not being angry, then they... Okay, yeah, if they don't know, if they say something, I can that, but they just say nothing.
Yeah, you're saying nothing because they don't know what to say, and also they feel a lot less comfortable on stage than you. You've been playing longer and you're a better player and you have more experience than them.
So I just make them just open their mouth.
I think you did a decent job of making them open their mouth, but we can even do a better job. We can put confidence in them instead of telling them, just talk. Like, why aren't you guys talking? I think going with that approach is going to shut them down more, especially Matt. I think Matt's the one that's having the hardest time talk. Matt not talking is from lack of confidence. So when we're angry at him and we're like, you can just say this, you should just say this, then it makes them more likely to talk less, not more.
This is good coaching, by the way.
This is not bad.
Yeah, this is actually, I think Loco's doing a really good job in this conversation.
Pick by the for giving confidence.
I gave the free choice of I said either Trundle or Bard, it's up to you, Matt.
And you say Bard is fine. You know, we like lose every Bard game and we have every
Alright, we'll be right there.
We have every same problem after Bard game, but this is already 7 times in a row.
I definitely agree, and I would much prefer Trundle, but Matt's not the type of player that can handle being told what to do, and he has to feel confidence in it.
Are they all little kids in this team? So even the role players, like, oh, I have to have my comfort picks as a role player because I don't feel confident. Yeah, because you're not good. You must just know you're not good. Let's just move on from this already. Why are we trying to mind fuck a guy into believing he's good so he can just play a meta pick? Just get other players.
Jesus.
Alright, let's look for something. After Mega goes out, we engage, okay? That's what we're looking for.
So they're just gonna get 3 nodes?
Yeah, and we can't defend. It's hard. We have to wait for Mega.
Alright, hopefully we pull a wild turtle. Get a Pentakill on Jinx.
Oh, I fucking see it. We have Kill Vu, baby.
We have sitting in me.
Free farm, let's go. Alright, top lane is coming to us. I'm gonna go push up bot. They're back here right now. They're just gonna do Dragon. I can ward Dragon. I'm not sure to kill me if I do this, but I'm gonna go.
You're okay. Nice Wraith comes up.
From the final shot of curtain call, lands in a fuse, but a great stun turns it back around. Still doesn't matter. They blow up the mid laner. The game-winning team fight, the match-winning team fight is here.
Oh, red's up.
Looks like all their summoners are up. Just gotta look for
my Zap does like
engage as soon as I can.
Oh shit, they're gonna go on me. Oh god.
Nice. Alright, I have Titanic.
We see 2 of them in base.
We're red on Jinx.
I'm coming. Alright, wait for Mega Nard. The same thing. Let's look at Mega Rage, okay?
But I don't think we can wait for it. We'll see.
Yeah, wait. If we can wait, then we wait. If not, we have to just go with Mega fight.
Yeah, flash
just watch Mega.
Flash in 15.
We just gotta engage.
Oh shit, yeah, we have to go. We have to go. We have to go. Look, Cassio.
I flashed.
I'm going to Cassio. I'm going to Cassio.
Really skill cast.
I'm looking at Jin. I'm flashing mid. I'm on Gragas.
You get him?
I'm being slowed. Oh, that's game.
Amen. The situation we were given was definitely a hard one. Like going into Gauntlet versus teams that have been playing together for almost the entire split, with 2 rookies, 1 with role swap. I think the expectations we set for ourselves, in scrim, sometimes we met them, sometimes we didn't. Our environment was good, our environment was bad, but we always put in effort. And I really like that everyone, like even in like the darkest times where we lost Dardoch, we lost Piglet, like we're still fucking working at it, people aren't giving up. We scrimmed more in the last week than we ever did on a regular.
It's all well and good when you've got 3-0.
Played more
I mean, what are you supposed to do?
There's not really any
though?
positive
Like,
you can retrieve
well,
from
I
this
mean,
story.
I think like what they needed to know was obviously like they were going to lose with Dardoch with his attitude, so you might as well just see how people are developing on stage or get some sense of what you might be doing in the future, because you're not going to win the gauntlet anyway and go to Worlds. So I don't know. I think it's a reasonable decision. It's also interesting because it seems like without Dardoch on the team, Loco was just getting sucked into his bullshit and like playing the Dardoch game, and you know, honestly, he seems a lot better in this situation.
games per average per day. We reviewed more per day. We watched more clips per day. We reviewed more bots in the last 2 weeks than we did. And I did think we showed a lot of progress in terms of where we were and where we ended at. Results are definitely disappointing for everyone. I don't want you guys to beat yourself about it, but I don't also want you guys to be satisfied with like what we accomplished, because to be honest, we didn't accomplish a lot this split and not a lot this year. And overall,
it's probably not the time to have this conversation.
I'm not satisfied with the results, but from the rookies, or from every player, I've been pretty satisfied with your growth and how much effort everyone put in.
I don't think this is the time to review your year. I think this is the time where you're like, thanks guys, you know, I know we had a lot of changes here at the end. Thanks for stepping up and trying to play the gauntlet anyway. We'll talk about this more in the future.
You have to know you're never going to even use some of these players ever again.
Yeah, so there's just no point in trying to evaluate your year-long performance right now.
One last one.
But actually, this is also why I made the point before.
Meanwhile, Matt's like, well, I'm going to be the one who actually changes the atmosphere.
This is also why
Matt.
I said that Team Liquid completely messed up every turn. Because think about it, they lost dardoch, they lost Piglet, the team's garbage, way, way worse than it was even with them in the lineup. They just end up with nothing. They have no asset to take in the next year.
Yep.
Like if I'm Steve Allison, as he said, they paid all those salaries. Like, what did you get for it? Nothing.
Pretty shit.
Like the minimum you needed was at least one of them stays.
Yes.
We figure out which of them keep. You get neither.
James, do it. Come here.
One last one.
Okay.
Go get in here.
Come here, Lemur. Alright.
On 3, 1, 2, 3.
Liquid.
I'm happy with
some of the progress I've made in the jungle, but then like as actually a team, like all that matters is winning, and we didn't get to. It would have been great if we could have actually tested how far we came against C9 or Immortals, but so a little disappointed that we didn't get to quite see our growth or quite get where we wanted to be.
I'm overall glad that I did get to play with Liquid, but I do wish it went differently and like situations were different, and I can't even imagine like what Team Liquid fans feel because of all the messes that's been happening. And I just want to say like sorry for my performance and hope I can get a chance to prove myself again.
Pretty much just learn how to be more involved in like the direction that team has to go in. Like I just need to be more involved. I have to work harder. And that's kind of just the lesson that I get. If you want to have good control over your own destiny, you need to actually give a shit.
And I'm doing better than ever, so I'm like really glad, and I respect the organization a lot, and they've done a lot for me. So
Lolo's like that meme with like the smiling mask over the crowd. It's like, I'm doing better than ever. Lost my best friend, like teams in shambles.
Well, his best friend was arguably abusive, so...
Listen, mate, what else does he have at this point in time? Like, he's just got nothing, but he's trying to mindful. He's like, things are great. I've never been in a better place in my life. Give me a break.
Really say anything bad about them. They've done more than good for me, so...
My first moment is when figure going to LA. I should say I'm retired too, because I feel like no hope anymore.
The one guy who didn't have fundamental problems in the team, his final note for this year, which really cuts through all the bullshit the narrative is, I actually should have just retired.
It's like when Piglet committed career suicide, I should have joined him in career Jonestown and also drank the Kool-Aid. That's so depressing.
He's like one of those. I think it's actually like the Hindu religion, was it, where the women the wife had to throw herself on the funeral pyre when you die. He just has to ride or die, basically.
God.
With his ride or die.
There will be changes, something. I don't know, I just want to play with who can be raining and who can be talk and who can be practicing. Yeah, that's all.
I would take the individual happiness of one of my players to take like 6th place in a split and have the entirety of Liquid fans and the entirety of the Reddit community just trash an organization. I'm fine with that because I don't have a professional relationship with Reddit. I don't have a professional relationship with Team Liquid fans. I have a professional relationship and genuine care for the individuals that I interact with on a daily basis. So I made myself into the person I am because I worked my ass off and I had values that I've stuck to for all of my life.
We came to agreement on how much we'll be spending, how much structure is going to be implemented, how many resources are going to be poured into our LCS team's performance, and we are all very excited about that. The biggest thing will be that they're going to do everything that they can on management side, and we're going to do everything that we can to perform. The roster that we're potentially looking at is something that will be very exciting. I honestly believe that we will be a championship contending team next year. I'm ready to lead that.
Spoiler, this was the worst ever Team Liquid. It was actually 2 years later when we got the good team that winning. This was actually the bad one the next year.
Who was on that team?
This was when they got Piglet back, as far as I remember, but I'm trying to think who else was even in the team. I think they kept Lolo still. I think next year was the year where Steve Arnett stupidly said to Kelsey Mosley it was the year of Lolo. So I think that was the year because he had like a couple of good games at the end of the split. I think that was the lineup.
This was the mid Piglet, I think, year, right?
Yeah, and the next year he tried that out. Yeah, I think.
All right. People are saying this is the year Rainover joined.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they spent mega bucks buying Rainover, and then obviously that did nothing. Yeah, that would make sense.
What's up, dude? Can you play me?
1, 2, 3.
He's like, nah, of course not.
That's my channel. That's my channel.
3303489.
He literally reads out bingo raffle numbers. That's how the documentary ends.
In my
He just
career
has the
so
most
far
shit-eating grin as well, doesn't he? Like, even his grin makes you think, this guy's toxic. There's something evil about his smile.
How I acted towards and how I treated Piglet, where like, I mean, I saw him as like my older brother, and he looked out for me all the time and tried to make me the best player that I could be.
Why do they always retcon everything?
Hard.
Like when they retcon, it's like they've seen too many movies. Like the way he talks about like the players when he's in private is nothing like the experience they have when they're actually in the
Exactly.
game.
That's what I'm saying. He's capable of self-reflection, and so he knows what he's doing, but he just can never prevent himself from actually doing it. It's wild.
Hard to get him to his first NA finals and try to make him an NALCS champion like he always wanted to, no matter how bittersweet it would have been if he finally got his goal and, you know, he would have left after NALCS champion and went off to play in Korea or whatever. Like, I wanted that for him, and it's an awful feeling because everyone depicts us as enemies, and I really want nothing more than to prove them all wrong and to be his friend again, and to be his teammate again.
Just meet him privately, one-on-one, and tell him
he's like an opposite human being. So in person, he's just a complete asshole into your face. But when he's not with you, he's really nice about you. Like usually people work the opposite way, where they're at least try and be nice to you, and then they talk shit behind your back. It's like a bizarro human. What is this?
Like what they should actually do. Here's the real secret, Team Liquid. Is just don't have any actual in-person conversations between dardoch and just film dardoch privately talking in like a talking head vignette about what, and then just show that to Piglet and just go, oh, I never knew he felt this way. Actually, thinks me as a brother. Oh, it's brilliant. Well, we'll fix this whole scenario or something.
And help him win. And yeah, it just feels awful because I feel like I let him down. I let the org down by, mistreating him after I made promises to change my ways and be more respectful of him and Loco.
Is that it? Is that the end?
Thorn wants it to end. Oh my god!
What an absolute clusterfuck that entire documentary. Almost no one comes out looking good.
I do. We do have to give big credit though to Team Liquid for even putting this out, because this documentary is so amazing, and I think the way Michael Artress and Damian Estrada put everything together is just fantastic. And it's really important that they made this, because even though it basically makes Team Liquid look bad on almost every level, except for the fact that they released it, which makes them look good. I just think this is a documentary that we're going to be still watching in like 20 years and revisiting. So it's an incredibly important piece of esports history, and I really, really respect them a lot for putting it out.
It's also wild that where this documentary ends, it was only like just a full year later when they had the lineup that they got double lift and pole belt and they started winning the championship. Whereas famously, this is when they'd never been to Worlds. So it's crazy how short the turnaround can be. I mean, to be fair, they had to sweep the deck completely, pretty much. But
Well, I think that even though it appears from this documentary that they learned very little from how they operated the team while the season was starting, I think probably when you have a break and you're not in the middle of all the bullshit anymore, and because remember this happened in summer, so you have like, if you don't go to Worlds, you have like 4 or 5 months. I think probably when they started to seriously take a look at all of this footage and reflect upon what actually happened, that's when you can actually make pretty substantive changes to your team. And I certainly don't think this is the way Team Liquid is now. But yeah, I was amazed that they put this out, especially when they did, because it's another thing if they had released it this year or like years later. They released it pretty soon after this happened, and we're just like, here's how weird it was.
Trying to find how do I save 5 minutes?
How can I save 5 minutes?
Like, this is so simple. It doesn't really.
It's a great line.
But if you can talk to them where it's motivating and
should
help
be
them
around
what to
there
do
somewhere.
and help them talk, I think that would be a better solution than being angry at them.
Not being angry, then if they don't know, if they say something, I can but they just say nothing.
They're saying nothing because they don't know what to say, and also they feel a lot less comfortable on stage than you. You've been playing longer, and you're a better player, and you have more experience than them.
So I just make them just open their mouth.
I think you did a decent job of making them open their mouth, but we can even do a better job. We can put confidence in them instead of telling them, just talk, like, why aren't you guys talking? I think going with that approach is gonna shut them down more, especially Matt. I think Matt's the one that's having the hardest time Matt not talking is from lack of confidence. So when we're angry at him and we're like, you can just say this, you should just say this, then it makes them more likely to talk less, not more.
Yeah, I know you just pick Bard for giving confidence.
I gave the free choice of I said either Trundle or Bard, it's up to you, Matt.
And you say Bard is fine. You know, we like lose every Bard game and we have every
I guess it was before that.
We have every same problem every Bard game, but this already seven times in a row.
Region instead. Would you rather do that?
It was just with Phoenix. It was just with Phoenix.
Which one? If you really want to be serious, instead of blaming picks, let's talk about what we can fix. And even if you do think picks are problematic, you can say it in a much more productive way.
Yeah, I say fucking picks problem. They just fucking. I just play fucking normal game with voice chat with some random guys. They just after all game they just do nothing. Oh, I do this, I do this. They just doesn't have any plan. They just fucking. They don't know what to do, they just shut down.
If they don't know what to do, then we can help them in game.
Wait, how I fucking say bye?
I mean, I understand Phoenix's frustration because he's the only real veteran left on this team at this point in time. He's like the survivor, and he's like, oh man, I got all these new guys. And he's like complaining, he's like, oh, they just shut down. It's like, yeah, of course they do, Phoenix. This is their first games on stage. Like, Jint and Arhancent haven't been around in the same way you have. Like it's only natural they shut down. But yeah, I get his frustration. That sucks. Oh man. Well, I don't know. You got anything else to say about this? Thanks to Team Liquid for making this. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's definitely one of the most, I think, best and most fascinating pieces of esports content we've ever had, even if it's not.
No one will ever make one like this again.
Tragically, no. I mean, I would love to see more on this, but I don't think anybody else is going to ever style themselves in this light. Breaking point. How I fucking saved 5 men. Yeah, I know. So thanks for watching this week, guys. I guess LCS has been announced that it's going to be online this next week, so we should have a normal show at this time next week instead. But we wanted to do something for you that was a little bit different. Thanks to Camille and Maddie from Cloud9. Maddie for producing this entire show and sitting there for 3.5 hours while we talked bullshit about this documentary.
Inadvertently cameoing.
And inadvertently cameoing.
Go back and find the frame. She might be in there.
It was not you, Maddie. You know what's funny is like a lot of the production people and the editors are really shy about being on camera themselves. So, Maddie, do you like being on camera?
No.
Yeah, see. But yeah, thanks to Camille and Maddie for setting all this up, and I think we had a good time. It was an interesting dive into League of Legends history when we didn't have much to talk about this week. So we will see you guys again next week to actually talk about the games, most likely with a North American guest. I'm not sure. While we've been sitting here, there has been some sort of announcement from the LEC. I imagine they're heading towards a similar conclusion. So we'll see you guys later. Appreciate you joining us.